Hello and welcome to Spain, to La Seu d'Urgell, and one of the most stunning slalom courses on the circuit. It's World Cup 2, ICF World Cup Slalom 2. Last week, everyone, in Ivrea in Italy. Now the action has moved to the Pyrenees. We are going to follow the semi-finals today, followed by the finals, and a little bit of a treat later on is we're going to be covering the slalom cross, which is a really exciting event to go for. This weekend, about 290 competitors from 50 nations are battling it out. Some have still been going for Olympic places, so there's been a lot of tension, a lot of action. Other athletes just really trying to find their feel. As we know, Rio Olympics start in 2 months' time, so there's a lot of excitement going on. I'm Matthew Layton. I'm not alone. I have a stack of guests coming up today to help us through this course. Tyler Smith, 17 years old from the USA, and Spencer Pomeroy from Canada, who's had about 8 years out of the circuit, but now he's desperately keen to come back and had a lot of fun this weekend. Gentlemen, good morning.
Morning.
Good morning.
Conditions here, well, you can see on the pictures, the live pictures coming to you from course side, it is a little bit overcast. Humidity is quite strong. Whether we're going to have a rainfall, we don't know. We had quite severe showers overnight. Temperature 17 degrees, but crucially, there's no wind. Gentlemen, how do you see the course?
It looks pretty good. It's a little more difficult than yesterday, which is what we'd expect. There's two possibilities for spins that we'll probably see with the C1M on the top of the course and the bottom. So it should be a little slower than yesterday, just because they'll have to do some more technical moves.
Well, to go for the details, Marc Domenyo from Great Britain, obviously Spanish, who was born and bred here, and Thomas Appel from Germany have actually put forward the course. When I was speaking to Mark a few minutes ago, he was talking out the 1-2 combination right at the beginning of the course is going to be a real tester. Then you have 3, 4, 5, and coming down 17, 18, 19, 20 looks like they're going to trap a few people. Yesterday, my conclusion was that it was a straightforward course. A lot of the top athletes made little mistakes. If you made small mistakes, it was very, very costly. But Spencer, I wasn't on the water. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, yesterday was definitely a quick course, but I think that left people trying to cut lines and over to a few mistakes. But I think today it's going to be a little bit tighter, so athletes are going to have to go a little bit more precise, maybe see some slower times, but I think we'll still see some good paddling out there today.
And may the best athletes win. As you can see on the graphic screen, C1 men semi-final, so 30 athletes are going to go down, and the top 10 with penalties are going to make their way for the finals. Central European time, it's now 9 o'clock. The finals are going to start at 12:30, so in 3.5 hours time, the top 10 are going to compete again. It's the same rhythm later for the C1 women, and then it's going to be the K1 men. So we have 3 finals coming up today. In total, we're going to be watching 120 races, so you'll really have a good possibility to know this course. Spencer, for you, well, we'll actually talk to Luis Fernandez. Let's just talk him down. He's right. He should know this as good as anyone.
Absolutely, yeah. I think he got a good feel for the course yesterday, so let's see what he can do today. That was a nice move at the start there. Clean through gate 1 and 2. Going for the direct option from 3 to 4. Looks like he did a good job there getting on the wave, using it to push himself into the upstream on the left.
A lot of time on the top of the course, keeping the bow of your boat dry. So you're looking for that. It'll be very fast.
Well, that was well done. The direct on the offside's always tricky, so it's nice to see him pull that one off. He's looking good on the top half of this course.
Well, it's not only local knowledge that cleans up on this course, because we've frequently seen the Slovaks dominate how it's going on, so it's a case of technical ability trumps local knowledge often.
Absolutely, but I'm sure having the local knowledge helps him.
Ask Mylon Shaw, and I think she's certainly in the K1 women, she knows how to go forward. But so far clean. You'll see the graphics on your screen, just to complete basics. If you hit a pole, 2 seconds. If you miss a pole, 50 seconds. And it's added instantaneously onto your course time. If you're not happy with it, you can appeal. So sometimes we're giving unofficial results because you can take these off.
Really nice down through Niagara Falls section of the course.
Ooh, costly touch on the outside pole of the upright and the up left.
Well, Mark Domenico said he was trying to do a fair but tricky course. It looks like when the fatigue sets in, would that be something to do with it?
I think that's a fair assessment.
The bottom of the course is definitely one of the most difficult parts, and after having a good fast run, you're really tired, and the bottom becomes a lot more difficult.
Well, 1:07. As you saw, there's a good 20 meters at the end after gate 22 that you really have to paddle as hard as you can to come over the finishing line, which is, by the way, just below our commentary position, so we do have a really good view of a lot of the course. Slovakia, Marko Mitudowski.
Again, going with the direct option on 3-4, making that one look super easy.
One of the upcoming Slovak C1 paddlers, he's still a junior world champion from last year and a medalist at the European Junior Championships, and extremely impressive last week in Ivrea, one of the top qualifying times.
And Michael Martin's not in the 18 this year, which is a surprise to some. He might be competing in the last two World Cups in Prague and in Tachin to try and win an extra place on the World Cups next year for the Slovak team, but certainly he's not performed as the way he wants to.
Up left there was good. He's a little low on the upright, but it looks like he's saving it, getting back out to the fast water nice and quickly.
One of the taller C1s, so he has a very long reach, and you'll see that with his strokes. They're very long and smooth.
It's definitely beneficial in the sport.
Well, Mate Benes, who's the top dog, is about 3 meters tall, so it does help, doesn't it?
Absolutely.
Well, 2-second penalty so far, but I believe he's up.
Little issue there, but it looks like he's keeping the bow dry and keeping the boat running, so let's see if he can get back up to this upstream and finish strong. Oh, little touch there.
Well, so far, both athletes have struggled on the cross, haven't they?
Absolutely, yeah. It must be the fatigue at the bottom really gets to you. It doesn't get any easier as you get further down the course.
Well, 10 strokes necessary to cross the line, so it's quite difficult. And he's just down. 2 of the athletes gone. John Ogan, another who should have local knowledge.
One of the older Spanish C1 athletes, a lot of experience here and on the World Cup circuit, so definitely looking for a good result out of him.
Would you say there's a Spanish style?
There's definitely a bit of a style, I think, when it comes to the course. The way they paddle it, they just have, like that, like you said, the local knowledge. So I think you can see them really move the boat nicely and keep their bows really dry, which is very beneficial in keeping up your speed, especially on a tricky course like this.
So to go back to the essential, this is effectively a man-made course. It was the course that was hosting the 1992 Barcelona Olympic Games. I believe this is the 15th or 16th major international competition since then, so it's very well used. It's 300 meters long. I believe we have 22 gates and 6 ups on the course, and it's known as being narrow and shallow.
Definitely shallow. You'll notice a few times as you're coming down the course, you'll hit your paddle or your boat off something on the bottom. But it's a very fun spot to paddle. The artificial water, very pushy and boily, but it's one of those places where you can be rewarded by putting your boat in the right place.
Well, so far as we saw, 1.5 seconds up, John Ogan from Spain.
This is looking great. Let's see how he can handle the double up here at the bottom. Nice entry into the upright. It's looking very nice. And this strong finishing sprint always hurts.
Man with experience.
Yes.
But he's going to be significantly up on the clock so far. 1:02. Well, it's difficult to guess the top times because clearly it's a course that hasn't been set before.
Yeah, I think he'll be happy with that one though.
Well, Mate Manic, who was the great hope a couple of years ago, can he fulfill his potential from Croatia? Again, another giant.
Very large athlete. For him, it'll be very important to keep that bow dry and keep the boat moving. because once you lose your speed, it's very difficult to get it back up, being his size.
If you just give us some insight in the difference, the advantages where the lefters and the righters might have.
Well, so far we've only seen lefties come down the course. So the move at 3-4 has all been direct. It'll be interesting to see if the paddlers on the right side will opt to go direct there or spin that move, just because it's a lot harder to get the same rotation when you're crossing over the boat to turn. But I think the way that they have the course set up, it's very even. Lots of moves are mirrored on both sides, so I don't say that there's a favor for paddlers on the left or the right. It's just some moves may be a little quicker for others, where they'll be a little slower in the other option.
Little hung up on the cross and the double up, but pushing good through the.
A little bit there, but it looks like he's back out to the current and heading down to Niagara Falls. Let's see how he does the double dive here. Very nice through there.
Well, he was 1.3 seconds down, so he really needs to put it down a bit, because there's obviously 27 more athletes who are going to want to take the 10 places to get the final.
Nice work on the double up at the bottom. He'll be looking for a strong finish here, as he said, to make up some of that time. Ooh,
That could be expensive.
absolutely.
Well, take a good look, because I don't think we're going to see him again.
No, he won't be too pleased with the touch on the last gate.
Next to go, Florian Brewer from Germany.
Another really strong young athlete. This will be his first U23 year, and he's really just had some amazing results in the last couple of years. Junior world champion, medalist at the Euros last year as well, and one of the top German boats right now.
But he's taken an expensive penalty on gate number 3.
Oh, he's opting for the spin there. The touch will cost him, but the spin itself might not be a bad move in that gate if you can pull it off cleanly. Looks like he's having a little bit of trouble down here in the middle.
As you see, he's half a second off the pace without penalties.
Yeah, he's been getting the bow caught a little bit by the water, and it's been slowing him down some of those trickier moves and cutting off the speed. So let's see. Looks like he's gotten a bit back on track here, so hopefully he can fix it up for the bottom half of the course.
Be very difficult with those 3 touches to be able to do well today, though.
Well, so far we have 4 athletes gone down. John Oguin from Spain is leading with 1:02, and crucially had no penalties there.
A little low in both of those double ups. I think that's a result of the fatigue at the bottom of the course. But yeah, with the touches really set him back on this one, and I don't think he'll be too pleased with that.
Well, Florian Brewer comes in with 1:11. So tell us a story about this chap.
This is my fellow countryman, Cameron Smedley. He was very pleased yesterday to have finally finalized the qualification for his Olympic spot for Rio this summer. He's definitely the top C1 in Canada. He's been up there for a while, and he's had some good results internationally, so we're hoping to see him do very well today. Went for the direct option on 3-4. And again there, a little bit low in the upright, but he's a very strong paddler, so let's see. Hopefully he can crawl back for those couple of seconds there.
Well, he's very much in touch at the moment. Did he have a quiet night last night?
I would say so. He was here watching demo runs and then back at the room, relaxing, resting, getting ready for today, and seeing what he can do. He's a very strong paddler. It's always nice to watch him paddle. Everything looks very smooth and effortless, but the boat still manages to move quite quickly.
There's a good bit of time to make up on the bottom section, so he still has a great chance at pulling out the first after this run.
And yesterday when we interviewed him just after he'd qualified, he was very modest, praising yourself, Spencer, and others that have given him a lot of very close competition to make this prized Olympic spot.
Well, I'm glad I could come back and challenge him in the last year of that goal. But happy to see him go. I think he's going to be good for Canada, and love to see him have a good result this weekend and again the next weekend and at Rio this summer. Strong finish for Cameron.
So far, provisionally goes into first place. And what does that mean?
I'm not entirely certain. I know that him and some of the Kiwis have had that. They call that the horse. Something horse. So I'll have to ask him about that and get back to you. Michael might have some insights later on for you.
Juri Lenarčić, again, another great hope from Slovenia. Not that, again, different body type completely.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, you'll see C1's varying a lot in terms of height, paddle length, boats.
Yeah, and on a course like this, it really comes down to keeping the boat flat. Doesn't matter if you're incredibly tall and have a huge reach, but I think if you can keep the bow dry and the boat flat, you're going to have a lot of success here.
So just tell me briefly about the different types of boats. You have several sizes?
Yeah, so the boats will be custom built for the paddlers depending on their weight. You want something that's going to sit on top of the water but not sit too high. You don't want it bouncing up and hitting poles. So it's you're looking for a balance definitely in the volume that you have.
You'll notice this boat is also more similar to a kayak than most people would consider what a traditional canoe looks like. Cameron Smedley is also using the same design, the Vito 1. People are using very well. It's much more difficult to paddle, but when you use it right, it's extremely fast.
And again, I think paddle length comes into it as well, doesn't it?
Yeah, a little bit. You can have longer paddle will give you longer reach, but it tends to make those offside strokes a little bit trickier if you have a big long blade to get over your bow. Looks like he's doing a good job down here at the bottom of the course, though.
Well, Juri Lenarčić from Slovenia was 1.3 seconds up at the first split, and so far crucially clean.
A little issue in that last stop left, but I think he's going to be pretty happy with this run.
The first righty also, so we'll see possibly a little advantage to the righties with his time.
Well, time's ticking on. It's going to be Claes. Instinct completely clean, but only goes into third place and knows he's left something out. Where was the error then on his half? He's looking a bit fed up.
I think he got hung up a little bit between 15 and 16. Wasn't too slow, but I think there was a little bit of room to keep the boat running a little faster there.
And Ryan Wesley, who medalled at the London World Championships, and a medal doesn't guarantee you an Olympic spot, unfortunately, for his case, when you're going against David Florence.
No. He was opting for the spin move at 3-4, and that was looking very quick. I think that's a great option for the righties.
So he's really come into his own in the last couple of years.
Very good direct, smooth, a little low in the up, but keeping the boat moving. A little hung up on the exit.
Yeah, might have cost him a second or two there, but looking very good on the top so far.
Well, as we see, he's very much in touch on the first split.
This middle section of the course is very fun. It's nice and fast, a few drops consecutively, so it's always a spot where you can be rewarded for keeping the bow dry. Oh, that's going to cost him.
So is that a plan B or plan C?
I would say a plan C. And the touch on the exit won't help either. It's always frustrating when something like that happens in your run. You have to try and mentally reset, get the boat back on track, and finish off as best you can.
Well, he's unfortunately 4 seconds off the pace. What's good though for the community, we have David Florence's mum and dad running down the course, cheering him on.
Yeah, it's always nice. You see there's lots of competition amongst the teams, but there also happens to be lots of camaraderie and helping out the teammates when it comes down to it. So it's nice to see that in our sport.
Unfortunately, a bit of an off day for Ryan Wesley.
Yeah, he had quite a good run going until that middle section. But
Okay.
Lots of positives there.
Lucas Rohan from the Czech Republic, which have consistently produced extraordinary paddlers.
For sure, one of the younger teams, the older athletes are kind of moving out of the way. Stanislav Jezik is not racing here. So we have Lucas Rohan, Vidislav Gabas, who's the Olympic boat, all younger athletes.
Looking very fast on the top part of this course.
And we will be going to Prague in the second week of September for World Cup 4. Next week we'll go over the Pyrenees to Pau, which is in the southwest of France. And the last final, the World Cup final, is going to be in Tachin. Clearly, I think it's the 7th, the 11th of August, there's going to be the Olympic Games. Well, he's up on the clock so far.
Yeah, he's having a great run here. He's been fast the whole way through, and so far it's clean, looking good lines.
Seems like there's be very much won or lost on the bottom section.
And a second up now. But a lot of big hitters to come.
Stalled out a little bit there, but I think he'll still be pretty pleased. That line was quite nice coming down Niagara Falls section of the course.
Where he's was in touch. Just moves into second place.
That's for sure a testament of how fast Cameron Smedley's bottom section was.
Yeah. Yeah, you see lots of those splits very tight, and it's just a matter of controlling the fatigue at the bottom.
Roberto Colazingari from Italy.
Great result last week in his home country of Italy on Ivrea. And he'll definitely be looking forward to another final this week, hopefully.
Well, there was certainly local knowledge, wasn't there, if you look at the K1 men when they came fast and second.
Very nice direct.
He got really high up into that upstream. Very quick in and out. Very good top half. Let's see if he can convert that down on the bottom.
Well, he's just given away the lead that he had.
Yeah, in a tight field like this, touches can be very costly. I think it's going to be imperative for the leaders to keep the boat, keep their runs nice and clean so they can have the best result possible.
As we saw yesterday, a touch could be the difference for you making the semifinal and ending up just outside of it.
So you're both happy with your weekend's work?
I would say so. Yeah, it was nice to get back out there and get a feel for the high-level competition.
This is my second World Cup in C1, and I felt pretty good. The course has been amazing and so much fun to paddle. It's my first time here. But I'm really excited to keep racing this year and hopefully have some good results.
Listening to Spencer Pomeroy from Canada and Tyler Smith from the United States of America.
Good top half of the course, but I think that touch and a couple small mistakes on the bottom might have cost him a few seconds there.
Well, 10 athletes gone, and Cameron Smedley is leading the ball with 1:02 and clean. Norway's Jørgen Spadura.
You'll notice he has a very high bib number, but he's definitely no newbie to the sport. Recently switched countries from Slovakia to Norway, so you'll see he's a very good C1, very technical, as all the Slovaks are.
That explains the Norwegian team. He is the Norwegian team.
Yes. It's starting to become more and more common. You'll see athletes from very competitive countries moving around to some smaller countries that allow them to continue racing at the high level.
Well, 2.6 seconds at the moment. I think notably we saw in Deep Creek the C1 men's final and the K1 men's. It was pretty much dominated by French expats.
For sure, as well as the whole French team. I think there were 5 or 6 French athletes in that final.
So he tried to do the head duck option on the up left below the bridge there, and he wasn't quite sure. He got his head under the pole, so it looks like he looped around, did the gate twice just to be safe, but going through a gate twice will certainly cost you some time, so he won't be very pleased, I think, with that. It definitely wasn't according to plan.
So just talk me through the process here. It's a course that you first saw at 8 o'clock last night.
Yes.
So what would have happened? The coaches, we saw them videoing.
Yeah, so you get to see the demo runs, so you can see other paddlers do the course. Coaches often take video, so you can watch it later on. You usually go through the course with your coach or members of your team, kind of dissect it, take it apart, look at each piece, figure out the best line for you, but it really comes down to picking something that is both going to be fast and something that you're going to be able to go out and execute on without having any practice attempts on the course.
Well, Badua is not going to affect the results today. So going back to what I'm talking about, you have 3 or 4 days beforehand to practice as much as you like. Will you have done most of these moves in the week?
You get a chance to try a few moves. I think there was definitely some moves yesterday that were, but looks like today they managed to do a good job of throwing in some curveballs.
That's what it's all about, isn't it? Jose Carvalho from Portugal. It's a new game, isn't it?
Absolutely. It's nice to see an expanding number of countries in our sport.
I believe there are 50 here this weekend. Well, he's in touch still with a 2-second penalty.
I think he's fairly local in terms of training here a lot, so you'll see that on this run. He's very, very fast here.
And this is where the Spanish team, pretty much their base is.
Yeah, it's their head training site. I can see why. It's a fantastic facility that they have here.
And the gym and the other facilities, the restaurant, just really next to the course in the beautiful town village. It's about 2.5 hours drive from Barcelona, but so far we do have Carvalho looking good.
Oh, he came down the Niagara Falls drop and his bow got caught in the eddy there and forced him to spin up. I don't know if that was his plan A, but looks like he recovered quite well, so hopefully he can keep that up to the bottom.
Although he has an extra 2-second penalty, so 4 seconds to make up on Smedley, who had no faults.
Yeah, that's going to be very crucial to making this final, and so far Cam's time is holding up quite well.
Well, again, that's not going to, we're not going to see him again. 12 seconds, 12 competitors gone. Well, here's a flyer. He had a cracking weekend last week in Ivrea. He's Swiss, but Pau-based Thomas Coquelin.
Very strong paddler, moves the boat quite well.
Very risky as well. You'll see him have runs where he's 4 seconds ahead of the field, but has 3 touches as well. So very interesting to watch, and you really never know what to expect out of Thomas Coquelin.
Looked like he was a little bit high in the spin there. He had to wait on the pole, but hopefully it doesn't cost him too much.
As he medalled last week, he clearly have high expectations.
Certainly, but it's important to note there were definitely less athletes in Ivrea, so the competition here is much harder, and you'll see athletes who made the semifinals last week are just out of it this week.
Fair point. Well, it's 1.18 seconds up. So describe his style.
Ooh, good save there. So he's one of the shorter paddlers, but like we were saying, you'll see a lot of variety in the size of C1 paddlers. He does a very good job of keeping the boat flat and using as much of the reach that he can. He's got very strong, powerful strokes, and he it looks like he's doing a great job of placing his boat, turning, and keeping it running.
Well, he's made up the deficit, is now 1 second up. It's Thomas Coquelin from Switzerland.
Ooh.
He's taken out the gate. There's another 2 seconds.
Yeah, you'll see he was trying to gain some more time on that direct and just got too close to the gate. Looks like same thing in 23. Tapped it on the way out.
Yeah, that's always a risky run. You try and cut the line a little bit tighter for a little bit of time, and then those poles become much closer to you. So,
well, let's have a look at his raw time for reference. Says his pure time was fast.
yes.
And his compatriot Mike Kurt, who's just maybe listening, maybe watching from home, enjoy your happy retirement.
Nicely done in gate 1, keeping the bow on the outside of the gate.
So they're trying to put their boat within a few centimetres. There's definitely a stream, a flow that you really need to hit.
Absolutely. Yeah, and you'll see here, like I was saying before, it's a course where if you can get in that couple of centimeters, you're going to have a good run. Once you get off the track just a little bit, it can really throw things out of whack.
Very smooth on top so far. I think we'll see a fast split.
Well, very much in touch. And the fact it's an artificial course, I believe there's some movement of the water. It's not always exactly the same.
Yeah, there's lots of fluctuations. You'll see water boiling up and kind of things getting higher, lower, moving around. So you can definitely get lucky and you can get some bad luck on the water, but it's kind of adds to the excitement. That seems to be a tough move. We've seen lots of paddlers have a bit of an issue keeping the boat running.
Well, he's made up a third of a second, and so very much in touch with Cameron Smedley, who's so far leading after 14 athletes gone, 13 athletes gone.
Very important he stays clean these last 2 ups and pull out decent times.
Very nice through the double up at the bottom.
You'll see him holding off a little bit in the second to last down just to make sure he stays clean. Looks like it's paying off for him as well.
Yes, but as you mentioned a few minutes ago, everyone who's going down is making Cameron Smedley look better.
Yeah, that's true. Very surprising to me the 102 is holding up. I'd expect to see a couple of very fast times under 100, but we've yet to see that.
World Under-23 champion Adam Burgess from Great Britain.
Very smooth through the top.
Again, someone who will be hoping to make the final, expecting to make the final.
He's got a nice style. He's another one of those paddlers that makes it look very easy.
And probably has more air miles than most of his winter activity was New Zealand and Australia and popping back to Europe.
Ooh.
Well, he's a second up.
Very interesting move there. He had to take his low. Good thinking on the fly.
Looks like they did add that touch on gate 9 as well.
A little hung up on the inside pole, but managed to get out quickly.
Where he's still a second up. Needs to go clean on the last section. Just tuned in, the course was designed by Marc Dumenio and Thomas Appel from Germany and Spain. Well, the time to beat is 1.
Wow.
They're really stacking them up closely. There's now 4 athletes within 0.6 of a second at the top.
Yeah, it's nice to see a tight field there.
That was your little move you mentioned on gate number 9.
Yeah, those are always tough, but when you can manage to think quickly and do something to get around those poles, it's always beneficial.
Unfortunately, he's still awarded the touch. Next up is Casey Eichfeld, the U.S. Olympian. Very aggressive paddler compared to most. He has a very high stroke rate and pushes very hard.
Going to third Olympics, yeah.
I remember paddling against Casey as a junior before my brief retirement. He was always quite the competitor.
I think that that spin was a plan B. You saw he hit a stern on the rock, and I think it was a good quick thinking for him to spin.
Well, costly so far, 2.5 seconds down. And I guess he'll be going in the C2 later.
Yeah, he's one of those athletes who has to race twice in a day, so it's hard work, but I think that he's proven time and time again he's able to do that.
Wasn't he 4th in the worlds last year, which I think was a real confidence boost.
Yeah, his run was very fast. He had a touch and still managed to finish 4th. very, very close to winning a medal as well as the whole World Championships. So he's definitely looking for a strong result this year at the Games, and we're all rooting for him in the USA.
Well, he's not going to unfortunately trouble it today.
No, I think the boat got offline in just a couple of places, and the touch were enough to slow him down today.
Well, that's again the slow-mo of Adam Burgess doing a bit of manipulation there with the paddle. Takuya Haneda from Japan, but mostly based in Europe.
Yes, from what I know, he's trained and lived in Slovakia for a very long time, training with Michal Martikan and the great Slovak C1s. So you'll definitely see that in his style.
He's got half a second up there on the top part of the course. But like we've seen, the bottom can make that a little obsolete, so let's see if he can keep this going. Very nice up below the bridge there.
This next section is a bit flat, so it's speed up and avoid the rocks. Catching a rock with your stern will be very costly to your time and speed.
Well, but look at that, 2.5 seconds up at the moment.
It's possibly our first run under 100. So far, he's on pace to do that.
The dive below Niagara Falls is very nicely done there. He's flying down the bottom of the course.
No doubt about who's going to take the lead. 1.2 seconds up.
That was a nice run. I'm sure he'll be very happy with that.
Haneda from Japan. And the next three could be the a World Championship final. It's David Florence, who clearly has been World Champion in C2 and C1 in the same year. He's the great British hope for the Olympics. Second baby came along, I believe, a week and a half ago.
Dave pretty much invented the one-run qualifier. The way the qualification now works is the top 20 of the C1s advance after the first run and the top 10 on seconds, and he started doing that before that was even a rule. So confident with how his runs were as well as to save energy for the C2. So very fast paddler and very consistent as well.
Really nicely done there on that upright. In and out, super quick.
You see that nearly 2 seconds up again. So the class is starting to show through.
But as we've seen, there's a lot of time to lose on the last couple gates. Seems to be a difficult cross for the righties coming across there.
Very easy to get slowed down by the hole. But Dave Florence making it look nice and smooth.
Very tight to that rock, you'll see.
Well, he's lost a second, but still a second up on the rest of the field.
Very nice direct, very fast. Perfect into the upright. One of the better moves through the last gate. A lot of the athletes were getting a little hung up.
8 strokes to go.
This is going to be a very fast run. I think we might see our first sub 100. There we are.
Yeah, Gaze into the lead by 2 seconds. 99. Another chap who can paddle rather quickly. It's Vitas Gebas from the Czech Republic. And with just 13 paddlers to go, it looks like Dave Florence could be booking his place in the final almost.
Certainly close, but there's some good paddlers still to come, so we'll have to wait and see what happens. He got his bow caught surfing across the wave there. That pushed him a little low in the up left and might have cost him a little bit of time.
Very nice. I think any time he lost, he would have made up.
Great job. Just like you were saying before, the lefty paddlers have a little bit easier time on the cross there, and he sure took advantage of it. Making up some time in the middle section of the course.
Opting to stay on the cross instead of the wall push, as we've seen a lot of lefties doing.
Well, there's two athletes in a row who really put down good times. This could be very special. Crucially, just goes into second place, but there's now a big gap between the two who've gone under 100 and Hanida, who's third place. Well, another serious athlete is Benny Savcek from Slovenia. They're coming thick and fast now.
Yeah, it's going to be a very tight field, I think, rounding up this semi-final. You can imagine we'll see a lot of tight, close times.
But he's taken out gate number 3.
The touch might cause him some issues, so he'll be looking to pick it up and go quite quick for the rest of this run.
There's not many go quicker than him anyway, are there?
Not many. Certainly not when he's having a good day.
After last year, he is the #1 ranked C1 in the world, and you'll see that. Definitely a possibility to make the final even with that touch.
I remember 2 or 3 years ago when we were doing the commentary, often he'd put through 1890 gates amazingly well, then make a couple of costly mistakes, but last year he seemed to become more consistent. But look, he's 3 seconds down.
Who got caught coming across from the double ups. The hole grabbed him, and he had to pull himself through there, so he lost a lot of speed and struggled getting it deep enough to that upright. So that might cost him a few more seconds as well.
Plus, crucially, a penalty, so he's going to be. Let's see where he is on the split. Yeah, it's very expensive. He's out of it. Well, it shares the level here as the world #1's having a few challenges.
Yeah, and I would imagine that's exactly what the course designers were hoping to see. Put together something that even the best in the world will have to have a good run to perform on.
Well, Benji Savcek's not going to go through to the final. Anzi Burgic, his compatriot, who has won here before. I think it was his first ever World Cup victories here.
Shared a training slot with the Slovenian team. And it was nice to get to see them paddle up close, practicing lots of tough moves and making it look easy out there. Very nice cross there.
But look at that, he's almost 3 seconds up, which is huge.
But we've yet to see anyone really maintain that through all the way to the bottom.
It's looking very smooth, having a little issue there, but he was looking under control until that point, so hopefully that's one of those mental things he can wrap his mind around and get back on track.
So both athletes from Slovenia making the same error.
Yeah, both getting hung up. That's the issue there. You come across on the left, and it's kind of hard to keep your bow pointed enough downstream to drive in behind that gate. It's easy to get it caught up on that hard eddy line.
Well, as you see, he's lost 3 seconds from where he was before. Expensive mistake, but still in touch though, only half a second off the best.
Very costly penalty. That'll push him out of the final.
Well, Anzi Bercic is in 4th position, so he went from the absolute stunning to the expensive mistakes.
Yeah, and that's something we've seen happen a number of times now. Someone will have a great run at the top and really struggle on the bottom half of this course.
This is the 4th Slovenian we'll be seeing today. Very, very good qualifier run. Fairly new to the circuit.
Of course, it's Blazkov.
You can really see how tough it is when you have to make that move, that big turn on the offside, all the rotation it takes to get the boat around. He's done a good job of it. Oh, he cut it too tight coming into the up left.
Trying to make up the time. He lost on the top, and unfortunately didn't work out.
Well, it's going to be well off, 3.5 seconds off the split from David Florence that we saw about 10 minutes ago. So he will be in the final.
Just leaning off the pole there. It looked like he managed to stay clean on the exit of 20.
It's very close for the top 5, 6. So if you make a couple of mistakes, you're not going to see it again.
Yes, and still lots of good boats to make their way down the course.
Followed by 3 Frenchies in a row, Pierre-Antoine Thiat. They used to train a lot here, didn't they, before Poe came into action. So some of the older chaps can really have their experience here.
Yeah, and the younger ones too. I think just the proximity to both courses, they're fairly close together. So lots of races, smaller races. The French boats will come paddle here. So I wouldn't say that he has hometown advantage, but he certainly has a good knowledge of the course.
Well, 8 athletes to go, and 4 of them are French.
Testament to how strong the French program is in kayak and canoe.
And he's off the pace at the moment. Clearly they'll be looking to do something a bit special next week when they go to Poe for the 3rd World Cup of the season.
He took some interesting lines on the top, some wider bounce moves. It didn't seem to work out quite as he had hoped.
And opting for the punt there below the bridge, but it looked like he had to go really deep in the up, so I'm not certain that was the fastest line coming out of that upstream. Trying to cut the dive there at 15, but ended up pushing himself into the pole.
Over 3 seconds off the pace, so we're not going to be seeing him in the final unless something spectacular happens. So to summarise, with 8 athletes to go, most time is made and lost where?
I think it's the bottom half of the course. That the top part we've seen a lot of athletes be quite close, and I think from probably get 14 down, we've seen lots of that change.
You'll see, like Anze Bercic was almost 3 seconds up on the top, and then ended up being a second slower once he got above Niagara. So it's very crucial to keep your bow dry and not get hung up in the middle double up.
Well, he's going to be a professional photographer soon. He's Nicolas Péchier from a famous paddling family, and one of the most powerful guys on the circuit.
Absolutely, he's always fun to watch paddle. Has incredible speed, still very precise.
opting for the wide line. I think the same as Pierre-Antoine had taken.
You can see that power coming through there as he forces the bow to whip around, cut across over to the upstream on the right.
But he's in touch, isn't he? He's in touch to qualify, maybe. Not going to have the best time.
Absolutely, and you can see he's doing a really good job of keeping his bow dry. It's just floating over everything that he's going down on the course. Very nice cross.
Needs to be better than 100.89. So far, 2 athletes have booked their place in the final, and that's Vitas Gerbas and Dave Florence from GBR.
Looked like he came a little bit close to the rock there in between 15 and 16. I'm not sure if that was his ideal line, but still looks like he's going quite quickly down the bottom part of this course.
And crucially in the middle section, he's actually made up some time, hasn't he? He's only half a second off the pace, which would be enough to make the final.
Very smooth through these last couple of gates. Could have even made up some more time.
Shaping up to be quite a nice run.
There you go. We could see a new leader.
Oh,
Goes to 3, but doesn't matter. You are in the final.
just shows how tight the field is here. Still have a good run like that, and it's not quite enough to take the lead.
And Martin Thomas, 2 Frenches to go. More of a slight build.
So it'll be interesting to see what line he opts for up top, if he sticks wide. Looks like he's doing it as well.
So that's the French move.
Apparently so. Very nice in
It
and out
seems
of
to
the
be working, doesn't it?
It does.
And that'll be something the coaches will be looking at for the finalists and saying, well, that works for them.
Absolutely, yeah. They'll be looking at video from other athletes and seeing where time was made and lost, and then altering the plans as they need to gain a second or two here and there.
And they'll have just over 2 hours from the end of this to their actual final, so they'll have a bit of time to relax a bit. 1.63 seconds down.
Also have the ability to look at the top kayaks and see what works for them. The very skilled C1s will do similar moves to the kayaks.
Similar moves, and in some cases we've seen similar times, so it'll be interesting on a tight course like this to see how close the C1s can be.
He's dropping off the clock a little bit, coming down the big drop.
Looked like he might have just hit the rock there and dropped a little bit lower coming to the upright.
Needs to be under 100 to book his place.
You can really see the effects of that whole course on the athletes as they get down to the bottom. Their strokes don't seem to have the same amount of power as they do on the top section. That 20-meter sprint really takes it out of you at the bottom.
Alexander Slavkovsky won't be going to Rio, but one of the great champions of the last decade.
Very nice. He got him nice and high to that upstream, and it didn't take any time in there. I think this section just above the bridge is an opportunity for athletes to gain a little bit of time. It's a little bit more open, a bit of a sprint, so not somewhere where you need to be thinking too much about the line, but definitely a good opportunity to put some power into it and pick up the speed a little.
Touch will be very costly. We've seen very few times under 100, and right now that's where you have to be to make it in. So without a spectacular time, he's going to have a difficult time making the final.
to hit the rock there coming into 19.
And you can actually hear it from here.
Yeah.
Well, we saw he was just in touch. It's going to be on the line, whether he goes through or not. He's going to have to really push it now. Well, moves into 6th place. That should be enough.
3 athletes left. Sorry, 4.
Russian representative Alexander Lipatov. It's good to see him making moves.
Blistering fast time yesterday. Very surprising. This being his first race of the year, and definitely his best result in a while so far. He'll be looking to continue that headed into the games.
Very big, strong paddler.
Well, 2 seconds off as we speak.
Very tight into the up left, but he did a good job. This move seems to be causing some people a couple of seconds, but he seems to get through it quite quickly, keep the boat running. It looks like it's very important to stay nice and tight on 15 and get back to the current quickly.
Seems to be another Plan B spin, similar to some of the other lefties.
Yeah, one of those spots where if you're just offline, Eddie will grab your bow. And
Qualified. Nigago Canoe then has come back in style, booking his place to go to Rio.
Yeah, he opted to take the higher line there, coming to gate 3. And looked like he missed a stroke there, but still getting into the upright quite nice. Almost a couple seconds back on the top split, but like we've seen, it really comes down to how he manages to handle the bottom half of the course.
Well, we had 4 French start off. 3 have gone. Only one's made the final so far. Nicolas Péchet.
Looks like he's having a little bit of issue with the double up. He was kind of low in both of those. I'm not sure if that was intentional to keep the speed or if that would have cost him a couple of seconds.
Still very much in touch with the pace coming down Niagara.
Yeah, it does look like he made up a little bit of time in the middle section of the course. Strong finish, and he could be punching his ticket to the final. Very nice up at the bottom.
So you're saying before it's just a case of how much does he have left in the tank?
Exactly. You get down to the bottom and see the clock, and maybe you don't know exactly what you need to do, but
Floating to the finish line. Very fast time.
That was irresponsible or very cool?
I think it's specific to each person. For a lot of people, they don't want to be the last one off the start block at the end of the final.
So he'd be able to calculate that going down.
It seems as he
knew what he's doing. And Elisegi, who should be able to put down a scintillating run on his day, knows the course as good as anyone, I guess.
Absolutely. I think if he executes as he has planned, we'll see a very quick run here.
So Gago Canoe has booked his place in 3rd fastest. David Florence at the moment is going to be the last off, but we do have 2 of the world's top athletes to go, including Mr. Elisegi.
Very nice dive move there. Got the boat back to the current quickly and didn't waste any time.
You'll see these Spanish athletes, the bow almost never goes under the water. Always on top, always have a flat boat, and always on the right piece of water.
1.3 seconds down as we speak, and there's quite a few of the Spanish that have had a bit of a late morning coming out. It's 100 meters from the center of town here, so they're coming to see and cheer their compatriot on.
It's always nice to have the hometown crowd cheering you on, forcing you to push a little bit harder.
But we'll see when the finals happen a bit later. There's going to be an enormous lot of noise. Where is he on the second split? Well, he's up. He's had a really good section. There's 2 athletes to go, fighting for the last 2 positions to make the final of the C1 here in Laseo.
Oh.
Well, that could be expensive.
Yeah, he got a little hung up at the bottom of the eddy there. Good place, so as long as he can finish off strong, he still have a good enough run to get himself to the final.
He literally went over a rock to do 15, and that put him up on the split a good bit.
101.99 would be enough. 102 won't be enough.
Ooh.
It's a shame for the local spectators. No Spaniards in the final.
That qualifies Alexander Lipatov.
Last to go, Mate Benesh, who will be going to Rio, as is Andrei Alexegi.
Always a fun paddler to watch. Got a nice style. Everything looks super smooth and easy, but it's always incredibly quick.
Very consistent as well. Last year he won the Slovak Olympic selections with 2 World Cup finishes, one of which being here. So very fast here, as well as every other course.
A little bit low on the cross, and it looked like he was fighting the water a little to get into the upright.
And when he's not on the water, he's often in the ice rink as a keen hockey player. Where he's 2.2 seconds down, that could be rather expensive.
Certainly could.
Time to go for how much do we have at the moment? Cameron Smedley is at the moment sitting in 10th place. We have the last athlete to go. 102.3. Crucially, he's 3.3 off the pace of David Florence. That's what we have to look out for. 3.3 seconds for Mate Benesh to qualify. I guess if we're honest, the pressure's off.
Yeah, I think he knows what he needs to do, and he's just not necessarily looking to win this run. I think he's looking just to put himself in a nice position for the final. Oh, but that won't be.
He's going to really have to paddle hard in the last 3 gates, or we're not going to see him. You're going to see your compatriot.
Yeah, I'm sure Cameron will be watching this intently and seeing how it shakes down.
Crucially, he has to be under 102.30. No.
No. That
Well,
touch at the bottom really set him back there.
it's better to do it outside Olympic selection than inside, I guess.
Exactly. you gotta pick the right time to peak.
Saying the blatantly obvious. So the 10 athletes, providing we don't have any appeals, are going to be David Florence fastest, Vitas Gabas, Denis Gagoshenu, Nicolas Peschier, Alexander Slavkovsky, Adam Burgess, Takuda Haneda, Anzi Burgix, Alexander Libatov, and Cameron Smedley. So a good mix with several world champions and a few new guns on the go.
Yeah, I think it's gonna be a great final. In the semi, so I can't imagine there will be a huge spread. It's going to be a fun one to watch.
And crucially, the first 7 went clean, and only Anze Burgix had 2 seconds of penalties. Here you go, where I've been repeating the classification of the C1 semi-final. In the final, in a couple of hours' time, they're going to go in reverse order of what we have seen today. So Cameron Smedley is going to be going first off, and David Florence is going to be going last off. And anyone stand out, or pretty much all of them?
I think definitely Denis Gagoshenu floating to that finish line. I'm very interested to see what he has left and what he can pull off. As well as the other athletes, I think there's a lot of room to go faster. As we could see, people were slow on the top and fast on the bottom, and vice versa. I think there's a good bit of time left on the course.
Yeah, it's going to be good to watch. I think David Florence, we saw him have a great run, and he's a guy who's been around for a while and knows how to handle the pressure. So I think he might be dangerous in the final, but there's a lot of good paddlers up there. I think it really could go to whoever manages to stick together a good run.
I don't think we'll ever see Dave Florence floating over the line.
I don't think so. He's not shy about being in the last spot to go on the final.
Well, the action continues here. We are live pretty much all day from course side in Laseo, which is about 2.5 hours up the hill from Barcelona in Spain. We've just seen the C1 men, and we're now going to look at the C1 women. There's Mr. Smedley looking determined.
Staying nice and focused, getting ready for his next run.
Spencer Pomeroy and Tyler Smith, you'll stay around for the C1 women. That's an order. Thank you. Thank you very much. We'll see. And there's Ballant with his very smart camouflage camera case. He's the ICF official photographer. Gives all the wonderful images that we see, hundreds produced every single week. So we're going to see different. It's exactly the same course, exactly the same layout, but clearly with different strengths and different weaknesses. We're going to see a different technique on it.
Yeah, a lot of the women tend to switch sides, not all the time, but on some sections of the course they'll switch sides they paddle on. But we saw, I think it was a very good field yesterday. C1 women category is looking very strong, very tight, and I think that even on a tough course we're going to see some really good paddling today. Some very fast times by the women yesterday.
And crucially, we may see a Fox in the final, but it's not going to be the one you expect.
No.
Yeah. From what I heard, Jess Fox is practicing for the Olympics and didn't want to take her practice C1 run, so she's starting to get ready for the Olympics and only training kayak right now.
Well, we're going to understand a little bit more from her because Jessica Fox is going to be joining us in the commentary for the finals of the C1 in about 2 hours' time. So we'll see what's going on. But here we have the start list from the athletes who've made it through to the semi-finals. Some new names, some familiar names, and some very, very young athletes. I suppose, Tyler, compared to you, they're all pretty old.
Yeah, I think there's one or two juniors in this final, but most women class is a very young class, and very few athletes are over the age of 23.
Having a younger age, but I think it's good for it. I think as it grows, we'll continue to see a lot of young girls get into it and push the class.
Well, these are going to be the 20 athletes. Just going back to you, Tyler, you're just 17, only just 17, aren't you?
Yeah, I turned 17 in April.
So how do you manage with all these athletes? I guess you have some of your heroes. Do they react well to you, or do you scared of some of them? Or?
I think at first I was a little starstruck, just coming out to watch a couple of years ago, but now they're just all competitors, and that's how I look at it. There's definitely people that I strive to be like. Mate Banouche is such a great athlete, such a great work ethic.
Well, we'll see Simona Makova from Slovakia first to go.
There's one of the switches. I think we'll see lots of that in this category. Well timed though, and that's a big trick with it. I think that it's easy to lose time switching and missing out on a stroke, but so far she's been doing a good job of switching in timely areas, keeping the boat moving.
So it's not big water like Tachin, is it? So it's not scary water. It's just tricky, I guess.
Yeah, it's the artificial course. It's very boily and not necessarily unpredictable, but it pushes you around a little bit. So even though it's not one of the biggest courses, you still have to be on top of it and make sure that you're in the right spot.
Picked up a touch in the upright, but for the C1 women, it's much less hurtful to their times. You'll see the finalists will tend to have a couple penalties spread throughout.
She got pushed down. There's a little fast patch of water right before the eddy line, and that managed to throw her bow down, and she had to paddle up and around for the upright there below the bridge.
So 20 athletes to go, C1 women. And I guess Nuria Villarubla, who's born and bred here, will be looking to have, I believe it's her first victory if she wins it in the C1 here.
She had quite a run yesterday, so I'm sure she'll be looking to do something similar to that today.
And then last year she was disappointed, and then she won in Po a week later.
Yeah, last year she was also the U23 world champ in Brazil, which is very similar water, I would say. Foz do Iguaçu to Liceo. Smaller, very technical, and she definitely strives in that environment.
Well, let's see what reference time we're going to have here for the C1 women. Comes over in 1:31. As they go every 1 minute 30, we do have to make a decision, obviously, to see if we're going to start someone's course or going to see the end of us.
We saw an interesting line here just at the start of this paddler's video. She opted to go below the rock in between 1 and 2. Maybe not necessarily the fastest line, but certainly a safe one.
And that's Simona Gletova, also from Slovakia. And has been well documented. They're not going to the Rio Olympic Games, but they will be going for Tokyo. So it's a case of, I guess, more and more money is going to be put into this discipline, so the results are going to come up. Yeah,
exactly. And I think we can see the sport's progressed a lot over the past few years and grown in number and size. So I think by the 2020 Olympics, it will be a much bigger field than we have even here today, which I think we have quite a good turnout for this race in the C1M category.
And I guess with the age now, they'll be 25, 26 years old when they come to Tokyo.
So she had a little bit of an issue there in the hole, got caught and lost all of her speed, and then ended up touching the upright. So that's going to be pretty costly for her. Nice move there. Just after the dive, gate 17. It's came into it quite well, but when you're going against the water coming down the eddy, it's always tricky.
4 or 5 switches in those 3 gates, and I think she's leaving a little bit of time, not being able to paddle as much.
Margot Henry from France next to go. So far, Simona Makova has the lead in 1:31. Gregorkova, who we've just seen go down 1:46.
Seen struggle a little bit at the top. She kind of came in low to the up left, gate 4. And then she got caught a little bit by the holes in the section known as sticky fingers. So she'll be looking to have a nice quick bottom section, I think. I think the key for her is to keep the boat really flat, so she doesn't get caught by the different directions of the water.
Well, 5 seconds off the pace, but as you said, there's often a large spread in this area.
For sure, but it's very important to still watch your penalties. Once you're getting up into 4 or 5 touches, it's very difficult to make that final.
Activity, but here you're looking at 130 seconds, which is a different game, I guess, aerobically.
Certainly, yeah, it's tough, but they train for it, so I think that when it comes down to it, they're prepared.
Also, the switching gives your muscles a chance to rest up a bit in between. One thing they're all very good at is being pretty ambidextrous and not really having one side they're better at. So it definitely helps them out through the course.
Yeah, that's absolutely true.
Picked up her 4th touch in the last upright. It's going to be very difficult to take the lead with those penalties.
Well, here's coming in from Australia. 2 Australians in a row. Interesting to see how she goes.
Also decided to take the lower line around the rock. Unfortunately, it's a little costly hitting gate 2.
She's been looking pretty good from 3, 4, 5 though. That was a very nice spin there.
And very lightweight, very slight build.
Yes.
Definitely an advantage in a course like this with lots of little waves that want to stop you. And if you're light and you can keep the bow on top of them, it's a good advantage. So there you'll see her doing a couple of offsides while she still has been switching. You want to limit the number of times that you're switching. So I think we'll only see her do that when she needs to.
Over time, we're starting to see some of the female athletes not even switching at all. staying in one side more like the men, and it's seeming to be pretty effective. Good use there. She was struggling on the left side, so it was a great place to switch to the right and keep the boat moving. Still just that one penalty on the top, so it looks like a pretty good run so far.
So it's pretty unique to see a race at this level without Ros Lawrence or Jessica Fox. Jess, we've just explained what's the reason she's not going behind it, and Ros Lawrence is, I believe, taking the season off for Europe this year. Going climbing, I understand.
Yeah, it's good. I think for the younger athletes or the other athletes, having the top dogs to watch and to train with, but it's also, I'm sure, a little breath of fresh air when it's a little bit more open for them.
Yeah, just the opportunity to start racing the circuit at a young age definitely will help out later down the road.
Looks like she's been having quite a good run here.
Well, let's see. It's Naomi Fox just about to go, where we're going to have to keep an eye on where Kate Eckhart goes into first place. Only just by 0.05 of a second. So Kate Eckhart takes the first place. 4 athletes have gone. Here we have Naomi Fox, the younger sister of. She had to go through the second run yesterday, but came faster than I believe.
Yeah, when she won the second round of qualification, and you'll see that very, very smooth and clean paddler, which will be very important. Up debut, so she's definitely hungry for another world.
Can you see a Fox style here?
Together, they tend to switch in very similar places, just sharing the coach that's their mom. But I think paddle
Looked like she got thrown a little bit offline before the double up, like that I think is going to be really advantageous to her.
Well, Kate Eckhart, who we saw go in
The Niagara Falls section.
little low in the up, but I don't think that'll cost her too much.
1:31. Well, it looks like it's going to
I think she'll be pleased with that run. Clean is always a good place to start.
be 5 seconds ahead of the others. Well, that has gone. Naomi Fox leads. It's Miriam Lazarenko from Spain. I think there's going to be some noise here. Again, a great hope.
Very smooth on the top part of that course. Keeping the boat running quite well. And those are some very, very good spins. I don't think she's lost any time with that.
Little low in the up, but as we saw with Noemi's time, not too bad in terms of the whole run. Mirren had a great finish last year at the London Worlds, and so far over 3.5 seconds up on the top split. Really good cross. She was able to stay out of the hole, ended up a little lower, but kept the boat moving, which is really, really important.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that that dive there was really nicely done.
Well, look at that. Almost 7 seconds up.
Yeah, I think she could be well ahead of the rest of the field.
Beautiful direct. Definitely on pace for a finals run.
Very nice entry into the upright. Bottom.
And you can see she has local knowledge.
Definitely. Yeah, she's taking advantage of the water, and she's making it easy on herself, I think.
She's not actually from Maceo. There's a large group of paddlers that live near the ocean, but still home country.
Touch on the last skate there, but it won't be of any effect to her.
Well, moves into lead in 6 seconds ahead, but there's some big hitters, some big Brits coming up, and obviously, as we mentioned before, Nuria Villaruble coming down last. So who's to go now? From Poland, Justyna Janse.
Another very young athlete, might have one more junior year headed into Krakow. Very strong and definitely looking for some medals in a couple weeks.
And you say that's your target for the upcoming future?
Yeah, as well. I race the K1 and C1 junior categories.
Little touch on the dive in gate 6, but we've just seen that you can come back from that, so she'll be hoping to have a nice quick run on the rest of the course here.
A little too straight through that first offset.
But don't be too concerned about the time, because she was 6 seconds down, but we saw Miriam was 6 seconds up on the rest, so she's second place so far. So Dali, you'd prefer to win an Olympic gold in C or K?
Oh, I think a medal in either would be amazing.
She's struggling a little here at the double up below the bridge. Lost some time on the cross. Touched that gate, so that'll be quite costly for her. Taking the wide line down between 15 and 16. I don't think that was part of the plan. That's certainly not the fast way. You have to cut through the eddy that way, and it's a lot more work and a lot slower than cutting back to the current.
One of the first athletes we'll see who switched and planned on the spin.
And do you know the significance of the frog on the back?
I have no clue what the frog is.
We'll try and find out.
That'll be a good interview question for her.
Well, clearly outside the first time to see where she's going to come through. We've only had 7 athletes gone. And the third Aussie rather, who's probably by far the most experienced, it's Ali Burrows, whose brother's going to the Olympics.
Yeah, Ian, who's in Po right now training for the games, but Ali definitely has the same skills as her brother and very strong in the C1 women's category.
Quick spin there.
Is on the 9th, 10th or 11th place in World Cups, so sometimes she makes it, sometimes she just misses out. But there's always a few tears.
So far on pace with Miriam Lescano of Spain. Just a bit off, but that time can definitely be made up.
And I think that's a good place to start right there. If this double up goes well, it's definitely a time saver, and she came into the up left quite nicely. Although that's another one we've seen get pushed down coming to the up right by that fast stream of water.
So Ali Burrows, the third Australian to go so far. Naomi Fox is the second fastest time, with Kate Eckhart the third fastest time. Miriam Lazcano is leading at the moment with 1:19 from Spain. Only 20 girls in this semi-final. Drop back a little bit there.
Yeah, it looked like she's having a little bit of issue down the bottom of the course, getting caught on the eddy line. Although that was quite nice here, so.
See Jess is running down the course with her teammate, cheering her on.
Really nice move in gate 20 there.
Where it's going to be touch and go. Let's see when she comes across the line. Ali Burrows has a time of 1:26. Provisionally she goes into third place, so it splits Fox and Eckhart. And it is Cécile Tixier, fourth year on the season now on the French team. Local girl, so local in the sense it's quite close to Po, so frequently competes on this course.
No stranger to finals, very strong C1 paddler, and should be looking forward to a fast time.
She looks to be having a good run so far.
Well, very much in pace, just 3 seconds off the fastest.
Should be looking to stay clean the rest of the way and hopefully secure a spot in the finals.
Well, she came in a little tight to the up left below the bridge there and ended up bumping the pole, so that'll cost her.
So I wonder from as of which number do they have a chance to watch the others go down? Probably the last 3 or 4 might have a chance.
Yeah, the last couple of boats, I think, have enough time to watch some of their competitors. But I would imagine others will have teammates telling them what they need to put down.
Going the direct route, which is not always the best.
No, she cut it a little tight. It looked like she wasn't quite in the right spot in 17. Ended up going right into the pole and then down to the rocks, so that'll definitely be costly. And when you hit your stern on the rock, it forces the bow down and makes the approach to 19 much more difficult.
Well, we have to see where she ends up. So far in 4th place, Cecile Tixier, and it's Ellie Gibson who has some cracking new runs in the last couple of years from Scotland representing Great Britain.
Team GB has a great C1 women's program. Some of the top women train there, so it's great environment to become good.
Bounced up on her. Gate 6, so that'll be 2 seconds there.
Well, funny enough, she didn't touch. She'd be 2nd place with that situation.
Very smooth, jumping on top of everything quite well.
Nice control of the bow. That was a great entry into the upstream. Very strong cross if she can get over that boil.
Will that be costing you a few seconds going down?
I think so, and then the touch on the back there won't help.
Well, we are. It is the 10th competitor, so we're going to start having qualifications. So how do we see her going? Well, it's stuck there.
Yeah, big issue there. Got caught in the crossing waters. She's struggled on the bottom part of this course, and with those penalties, I'm not certain it'll be enough for her to advance to the finals.
Already well off the pace set by the Spanish.
Well, we really have time to see. It's a good judge of how fast you're going. Can we see the end of your run? Unfortunately, we can't. It's Kim Woods, who very strong K1, very strong C1. Was out of the team a couple of years ago, but dug deep, came back, and now she's performing really well. Well, Ellie Gibson goes initially into 8th place. That's probably not going to be enough.
You've already seen how crucial it is to end up being on your cleanliness on this run.
But she's capable and frequently medals in World Cups and performs in World Championships as well, so she's really one of the top 3 or 4 athletes in this field. And a 1/4 of a second up.
She's doing a good job placing her boat. She's having a tiny bit of issue there with those curlers that want to stop you and slow you down, but so far it looks like her lines have been pretty close to where it looks like she wants to be.
Jumped in just a little too soon and picked up a touch, but still in great placement. Great cross, one of the better ones we've seen so far.
1560 move was giving some of the men some issues and some of the women. Looks like she's done a good job of keeping the boat running there. I think she'll be quite pleased with that move.
Well, she's just dropped to 2nd, so very much in contention.
Looks like she got spun up there. She wasn't, don't think, planning on the spin, but she played it off well. Well done coming into 19.
Well, it looks like barring disaster, Kim Woods is going to be in contention. Just needs to power it over the line. Well, it shows how good she is because we have time to see the whole run. Moves into 2nd place. And it's Polina Muglaskeva from Russia. And we do have our first qualified athlete, Mirin Lazcano from Spain, is through the final, which is good for the locals.
Yeah, for sure, and we'll be looking for another Spanish athlete to make it as well.
So crucially, she's clean. Let's see where she's on the intermediate split. Well, very much in touch.
A second back, but it looks like she's got good power, so I think that I think she's putting herself in a good position. Well done coming into the up there. A little bit lower, but sometimes that's not a bad option. You can see the boat never really stopped, and she got a good exit. Again, a little low into the up left, but keeping the boat running is always good.
And getting through there without any penalties is very beneficial to her.
Yeah, very easy to have the bow jump up coming into the up left below the bridge as you hit the reactionary wave.
Almost looks like as that was her plan to go right of the rock. Very interesting. She's a little bit more behind on the split, but the gap between first and third is so large right now. She's in a good spot.
Ooh. Unnecessary touch there on gate 17.
Well, it could be costly.
Very well done. Nice upstream at gate 20. Kept the paddle in the water and was just in and out.
Well, another 10 strokes to go to charge over the line. We'll keep you updated. Monica Doria Villarubla from Andorra coming into your picture now.
Tiny neighboring country in between France and Spain, and more or less a local of here, and we'll see that in a run. Very nice switch. Switched in the middle of a stopper, so that's quite interesting, and shows how good these women are at switching paddles.
Certainly takes some confidence to do it in that situation, doesn't it?
Yeah.
There's a number of times where you don't want to let go of your paddle, but
well, so far, very, very much in touch. We now have 2 athletes qualified for the final. So Midland Canoe and Kimberly Woods have booked their place. So two boys into the C1 final from the Great Britain with David Florence and Adam Burgess, and so far 1 Brit, with probably more to come.
and again we saw another really good up left there, but the cross giving them some issues. So. She really tried to cut the line there, coming down 15, and it cost her a touch, but she did stay close to the current, so hopefully it doesn't cost her a full 2 seconds if she made up some other time there.
That's
Ooh.
what's the rule there? You're not allowed to destroy it, are you?
So she hit the pole and it went around her head the wrong way, so that's why she had to loop the gate a second time. Because it went around the wrong side of her head, she had missed it. Although since she went back for the gate, she will still get it, but it's going to cost her the penalty, the 2-second penalty, and the time it
4
took.
seconds, yeah.
Yeah, so
Well, in theory, not out of it completely.
no.
She really has to go for it.
Certainly better than missing the gate entirely, but not an ideal way to do it.
Well, let's see where we are. Moves into 10th place, so we won't be seeing her. Victoria Wolfhart from Austria. And it's a bit of a cheap generality, but you know they're an exciting paddler when they have that hat on.
Yeah, the coveted Red Bull sponsorship. She's had it for quite a long time, since a very young age. Been on the circuit for a long time, even regardless of how young she is. Been racing K1 and C1. Very successful in both.
And we saw, as of last week, it's Karina Kunle who's going to go to Rio for the Austrians.
Very tight Olympic selection for the Austrians. All decided last week in Ivrea. Very exciting to watch, and they're sending some great athletes.
So, as per usual, we do have a Fox in the final. It's Naomi Fox has made it through. So, is it 2 events and 2 finals?
Yeah, and I'm sure that her sister will be very proud, happy for her.
Well, she'll be on the commentary commentating. Hopefully we can keep the nerves down.
Nice spin there. It's looking to be quite a solid run. She's clean so far, and she's had a couple minor mistakes low and upstreams, but nothing major, and I think that this could be a very good time. Comes in third place.
Fourth athlete to qualify for the final. Next up, Annabelle Vanderniff of Spain. She lives about 2 minutes from the course, so definitely a local.
Born in Holland, I believe, hence the name. And Victoria Woolfhard, as you mentioned, is the third to qualify so far. So 4 through, 6 to go.
Bow popped up and hit the pole in gate 7, so that'll cost her a couple of seconds there.
I believe it's her first home World Cup, so you can see a little bit of nerves in that up, but seems to have recovered well and is making good way down the.
Definitely opting for some tight lines, and they're having to wait on the pole, but that was a very good cross, and she's into the upright in a good position.
But so far, after last night's storm, the weather's holding with the flag.
Yeah, it's nice conditions for racing. It's not too hot out here either, so that's always nice for the athletes racing later on in the day. Don't have to worry about getting tired sitting out in the sun, so it's pretty nice, I'd say, so far.
Well, she's 5 seconds off the pace. Swelteringly hot with a couple of big thunderstorms.
A little slow in the turn there. She's going to have to watch the rock. She managed to sneak her stern around it looked like, below gate 17.
Still on pace to qualify, and fairly decent run.
Well, where's she going to go? Qualified so far is 125 and better. Wow, there's a bit of unbelief, delight, everything you want.
Yeah, definitely some emotion at the end of that round. She'll be happy with that.
Teresa Fizerova from the Czech Republic.
Quick spin there. It's well done. There's one of the paddlers opting to stick more with an offside stroke. You don't get quite the same amount of power when you reach over like that, but it saves you the time from switching, so it's a bit of a trade-off there. Fortunately, her bow got away from her coming to that downstream. To the pole.
Still very much on pace to qualify, though. A little hung up in the hole, got out of it pretty fast, and not in a bad place for the up. Struggling a bit on the eddy line, but she keeps the boat moving well.
She's definitely pushing to have a quick bottom here. You can see her strokes speeding up.
Well, 7 seconds off the pace. The last qualifier, Naomi Fox, was 5 seconds off, or 6.3 seconds off, sorry. So there's still hope.
She came in a little bit too high for that spin and ended up having to wait coming down the eddy.
There's another 2 seconds on, which is starting to add up.
Yeah, so she might. She's going to need a very good last few gates here.
Where we're going to see how she goes. There's Jazz Royal from the Great Britain team, and where she moved into 9th place. So Teresa Fizerova still hypothetically has a possibility of qualifying. We do have Russia qualifying a boat well. So 2 more Brits to go. We know that Kimberly Woods has already qualified. And again, young, but been on the circuit many, many years. Look at that, good time.
Yeah, she's doing great. Top half boat, a little touch
giving
there.
a bit back.
And as we've seen for most of the morning so far, the bottom half of the course tends to be quite difficult. So,
after analysing 50 people down, do you think it's just pure fatigue?
I think it's there's a couple of tough moves where you really need to be in the right place, and you need to be very careful with the boat placement. So I think that gets more difficult as you go farther down. But yeah, I think that the moves down here at the bottom, 15, 16, and then 17, 18, 19, 20 are all, that's a tough section when you're not in your top shape at the bottom part of the course. So
well, we saw she was very much in touch at the beginning, but now 7 seconds back, so it's going to be a struggle. The last qualifier so far to go through was 6.4 seconds back.
There's a lot of time to lose on the middle section if you're just a couple centimeters offline, and we've seen that with a lot of the women so far, up on the top split and really sliding off the lead.
Well, Mark Domenu, one of the course designers, said he was hoping to test people on that section. She's going to really have to put the foot down to make it. Wow. Well, not definitely out of it, but 3 athletes to go. Marilee Franklin, who I believe she's twice taken the silver medal in the Worlds, very much up there, and also a very keen competitor in K1.
very smooth looking paddler.
Very, very tall, very big angles.
Yes, I think definitely the tallest woman on the circuit in terms of C1. Very nice time on the top, but as we've seen, that can change very quickly. So hopefully she stays clean and stays in the right spots.
But probably the most experienced athlete in this field, so she's been here many, many times before.
Oh. Just lost her edge there.
It's quite surprising. That's the first flip we've seen all day. It's a very tricky spot, especially to be on a crossbow through.
Yeah, and it's one of those places where you need to keep the boat super flat. If you start leaning downstream, that's when you either get kind of bounced down and away from the gate or caught in the hole. So it's you need to tempt fate a little bit if you want to have a quick move through there. And unfortunately, she was just a little bit off.
But found some depth on the water. Still, after that spin, after the Eskimo, only 4.7 seconds off. So she's clearly saying that's not going to affect me.
Yeah, there's a lot of room in the final so far, and she's still on pace.
And with the exception of that one flip in that gate, she's been having quite a good run. So,
well, time she needs to go to qualify. She needs to be 1:27 to really come in. Where's she going to be?
nice. That's a good result.
So made up a lot of time, almost 2 full seconds on the bottom section.
Yeah, so she'll be looking to fix that cross for the final, but I think she'll be pretty pleased.
Canoe has confirmed her. Second half.
Have a second up and did a good job on all 3 of those drops, keeping her bow above the water.
The touch on 12 has been quite common so far.
Well done through that move.
And has plenty of time in hand, just 2 seconds down, so that's Yeah, who are 9th and 10th at the moment. You need to be less than 8.9 seconds above, so you need to come through in 1:28 or better.
Picked up her second touch on that last stop, but
Looks like she's going to be safe.
Spot. Yeah.
Yeah, move into 4th place. So we now know the majority of our athletes who have qualified.
I've seen a few of the women with similar times now at the top. It's either been one mistake or a couple of touches, so I think the final will be very interesting to watch.
Canoe lives about 400 meters from the course, but always takes a half an hour to walk home because she knows everyone and they all stop her and talk. But she's the local hope.
Definitely the woman we've been waiting to see and see what time she puts down.
Well, 3 seconds up, 2.5 seconds up, and clean so far.
Doing a great job of controlling her boat through this section. This has been the key for many of the women, so let's see how she makes it with the cross. Got bounced down a little bit, but she kept her speed up, so I don't think that'll hurt her.
And maintain clean where a lot of the other athletes weren't, so that's very beneficial to her.
She missed a stroke there on the left. It looked like she was trying to put an offside stroke into turn above the rock and ended up having to go back to her onside, so I think she was sliding a little bit and probably not quite as quick as she had hoped through that part.
But we saw still 2.5 seconds up, so unless there's some major problem. I know she had in the last year, she was the favourite and didn't manage to pull it off right at the bottom.
Very well done through the double up.
Well, no
so
problems.
far.
No problems today, are there?
This looks like it could be a very quick run.
A reference time coming up.
She's just coasting through the finish line there. She knows she's very safe. She doesn't want to give away her cards. I think that a lot of the other women will be looking at that and trying to figure out what they need to do for their second run to catch that.
Well, there's job done. Well, that's quite exciting. We've had 2 events so far and the qualified for the finals. Spain have 2 athletes in Villaruble and that's Canoe. Kimberly Woods, Marilyn Franklin, Claire Jackie, Annabelle van der Kleef, Victoria Woolfhard, Naomi Fox, Pauline Muglareva and Ali Boaz have all made it to the final. Spencer.
Yeah, nice and smooth and controlled through this run so far, so let's see what he can post up.
Well, it's certainly going to be, what, 94? Well, that's the clock did stop a while ago.
Yeah.
Yeah, bit.
Clean. Next to go, 2008 Olympic champion, who came back last year in form and is a big guy.
Probably the largest athlete we're going to see in
from Germany.
He's opting for the did that, but we'll see if it pays off.
What's the theory behind that?
I guess he's trying to just keep the boat running on sort of a tighter line, whereas the direct, you might have to go a little bit lower and use the wave across. Where if you go spin, you can kind of go more directly to the gate. But if it pays off. Well, he's
half
up.
a second up, isn't
something you'll notice from watching him is just due to his size, he has to be very careful with his arms and elbows. So T-Rex compared to
yeah, he's got an
the other
interesting
athletes.
style. Oh, getting into a little bit of trouble there, but he pulled it off, and that's something you have to be able to do, is if you put yourself in a risky position to save it.
You have to go through the gates with all your head.
When you're trying to make up time.
Yeah, well, he looks clean so far, and from that first split. We'll see how he does coming into the finish here.
Wow, made up a lot of time on those last couple of gates.
Yeah, that was a powerful finish sprint. I think probably one of the fastest we'll see all day.
And here next to go is your
Qualified again for Rio, I believe.
people want to go, and that's very
One boat per category per nation. The Olympics is so tough. I think some of the internal selections for the French or the Czech team, probably among the most difficult races in the world, including World Cups.
And this is your second Olympics.
Yes, I competed in London, and I think it's great to be able to go back a second time. It's definitely be grateful I was able to put together some races at the right time of year.
Very costly touch up on the top of the course, and unfortunately it's going to be quite costly to him in terms of the qualifying for the finals.
Yeah, he's back a quarter of a second, so let's see what he can do on the bottom here. Maybe he can make that time up. Uh-oh, a little bit low into that gate. Yeah, this last section is very technical, and it doesn't help that you're already tired from the top of the course. So I think this is going to be the section of the course that separates the finalists from everyone else.
What we noticed in the first two classes was very much the first half of the course was not a game maker, was it? It wasn't separating them. It's so much the last sections.
Yeah, you could see with some of the athletes they'd be 3 seconds up coming through the bridge, and by the bottom they were 5 seconds behind. So not much to be made up on the top, but a lot to be lost.
Well, Thomas Bersinger, who is clearly French but representing Argentina, knows more about water than anyone else. He's doing a postdoc studies about water purity, I believe in Poe.
Wow, I didn't know that. He's probably one of the smarter guys on the circuit then. He's edging the boat a little bit. I'll see how fast that first split was, but generally you want to keep it nice and smooth as you go down the course. But wow, so a full second up.
But again, excuse me, has huge local knowledge. Used to compete here years ago.
And we saw Grimm had some trouble coming in this up. It was a little too tight and lost some time. So it seems as Bersinger is up on that.
Yeah, Thomas had a really nice exit out of that upstream and all the way to the next offset.
Very risky head duck. Looks as if they've given him to him so far, but we'll have to wait for that.
A bit offline there and had to make something happen and get his head in the gate.
Great split through Niagara. Almost.
Yeah, he can serve it up on the last two, but that might just be what he needs.
Well, he's looking dynamic. He's looking alive, isn't he? Looking like he really would like to go to the final.
A little deep into the second to last down. That might have cost him some time.
Well, crucially, it moves into second place with 36 athletes to go.
Yeah, it's hard to say early on what the final cutoff will be with so many athletes to come, but there's a lot of talent in these first 10 boats.
Well, Michael Smolin, I guess you know him quite well.
Yeah, I've raced against Mihal for years. This was as we were growing up and racing as juniors. races all across North America. So
Very unique paddler. He resembles a lot of the Europeans.
Did he come over to, I think he came to the States when he was 10 years old, is that right?
Yeah, so originally from Poland, but born and bred as an American paddler. We all consider him to be. A little bit behind. I think he can make up that time on the bottom.
see what he can do under the bridge here. This double upstream. Oh, very nice.
Super characteristic of Mihao to have those really tight sweep ups.
Right above the gate and sweep, and that was really nice.
He's feeling a little bit under the weather yesterday, and I think that contributed to his slower first time. But afternoon, he was feeling a bit better and put up a fast time.
Well, you can see the boat just spinning out of control a little bit there, but was able to maintain speed and get back on track.
Did you see the support Father Rafa shouting him down? But again, he's going to be off the pace. That's not going to be enough.
Definitely not the run he wanted, but this is just another training race for him.
Well, under 23 world champion. And who's next coming up? It's Callum Gilbert from New Zealand.
Yeah. Callum's one of the up-and-coming Kiwi paddlers that are really pushing their Olympic boat, Mike Dawson. They've been chasing him, and I think it's really developed their slalom program down there to have that standard, and we'll see what he can do today.
So Mike Dawson went into Ivrea and choosing to miss out here, like several of the athletes, to be fair, and going directly to Pope.
Yeah, I think most Olympic boats have opted to skip at least one of the World Cups. We'll see who's in Po next weekend. I'd expect it to also be a very competitive field.
Racing all three of the World Cups can be pretty taxing, and really they're just focusing on training for the games.
Especially when it's 3 weeks in a row.
Yeah, for sure.
The last couple of years, or 4 or 5 years, I've had over 4 or 5 weeks.
Yeah, well, Callum's had a pretty nice top here. He was only less than a quarter of a second back on Grimm, so see what he can do at the bottom here.
It appears that was just a water touch, and we'll have to wait for the judges. But very nice through the double up.
Yeah, he can be a very dynamic paddler. I've seen him do some crazy things in training, and he's picked up a touch there, so he knows he has to push now, and we'll see if he can pull off something special at the bottom.
Well, it's another touch which is going to be expensive.
Yeah, and there you see opting for a back sweep up. Nice, but I think it's going to be a little bit too much to overcome those two touches.
Yeah, picked up that third touch with just too tight on his last sweep up.
There's a careful balance of pushing too close to the poles and risking a touch, or being too far away from them and just having a slow time. So
Well, there's no glory.
Young guy who's up and coming. I haven't seen him at too many races, but I know he's I think he's still U23 and will probably be racing at Krakow this year.
So
Yeah.
how many athletes do you keep on your radar?
It's hard. There's so many, especially some of the European nations. They might have 5 or 6 or 7 kayaks that might alternate some World Cups.
There's maybe, 200 of you who are up there?
Yeah, I guess if you look at the world ranking, it can stretch right into the 300s.
Over half a second up on the top. He's a very methodical paddler. You'll see it with the Slovenians. Peter Kauser as well. Their forward strokes are impeccable, and you'll see that in their times.
Yeah, obviously when you have a paddler like Peter Kauser to train with and watch at races and in training, that's going to help your entire program, the nation.
Well, he's coming down next, so we'll have to have a watch of him.
Gains
So
even
far,
more
looking
time.
up on the split and having a very good run. Oh, he just touched the rock with his tail, but I don't think it affected him too much.
Well, 2 gates to go. Time of reference is 94. What would you guesstimate the time that you'd need?
Well, it's a tough guesstimate with more than 30 paddlers to go, but I would say it's got to be in that low 90s range to make the final.
Fastest C1 was looking to be on track for a 97, and generally it's 4 or 5 seconds. So we'll see some times probably close to 90, but I think there'll be a spread of a couple seconds.
Well, he has a list of achievements that could go on for weeks, hasn't he? Peter Kauser, former world champion, had a nasty injury a couple of years ago with the shoulder, but came back. That was in London. Came back and was good form last year. Won the overall standings, I believe.
Yeah, very happy to see that. It's quite common once you dislocate your shoulder like that. It's very difficult to come back, and he definitely has.
Yeah, he's looking very strong on the water this year, and I think he was won a medal at Europeans, I believe.
Did you guys watch the Europeans?
Yeah, we were following it this year because of the implications on the Olympics. I think there were and the Austrians and Polish all had, and Czechs as well. We're all using the Europeans as a selection race for the Olympics.
Well, Peter Kauser, we saw at the split, was nearly 2 seconds up. He's putting on exhibition.
Yeah, he's absolutely flying here.
When I spoke to him yesterday after his second round, he was quite relaxed. He was not too concerned about the fact, as long as he fairly confident he's going to go 3. Well, 2.5 seconds up, so he's making it a little bit more.
Tap that rock and ended up a little bit low. Definitely going to lose that lead he has.
I think in that dive gate at the drop, if you turn too much, you're not going to hit the rock, but you risk being slow. So some of these guys are trying to turn very little, and you might end up hitting the rock.
Well, Gay's in the second place. Not happy. One of the fastest sprinters on the circuit.
It looks like he touched the last gate there.
So small, it seemed to have brushed the material of his top, which is very difficult.
Well, Lucien Delfort has his Australian passport now, so representing Australia in the Olympics, just beat Jackson Merritt.
Yeah, another paddler with French roots.
Well, he's quite close to him.
Yeah, very, very strong results in Laseo in the past, and we'll expect nothing different here. Not a great direct there compared to other athletes so far.
Yeah, you see the boat stalled out a little bit, but he was able to save it and have a pretty good up, so I don't think he lost too much time, but we'll see on the first split. Really nice sweep up there. I think he'll have gained it back. Just 0.14 back at the first split, coming into that double upstream, and that was very nice. Well, of course, we'll have to see what he can do at the bottom section.
Very direct line through 15-16, something we haven't seen a whole lot of yet.
And you can see he's half a second up on Peter Kauser.
Yeah. And he opts to do a bit more of a turn in that dive gate, which means he won't hit the rock, and he'll be very high in the next upstream.
So a couple of seconds saved there. He'll be looking to come into the first place.
Conservative in that last up, but I think he knows he has a good run so far, and is just trying to maintain that through the bottom.
Yeah.
Keeping the level going, but no, he's fallen off a lot in the last.
Yeah, I think Alexander Grimm had quite a good run and set the bar, so be interesting to see how long he can last in first place. So, is interesting to note that he was, I think, the only athlete, and he's still in first place. So, see if any other paddlers opt for that spin.
Well,
maybe it's faster.
Yeah. Someone who has his eye on a medal in the Olympics. It's Joe Clark, another with the hat on.
Yeah, Joe will be competing in Rio as well. and I know he's been there quite a few times. The British team were selected in October, so I think the first Olympic team to be selected. And
he has quite a well-known blog, which is his Road to Rio, which is worth following. And yes, he does a lot of work and a lot of social media, puts videos every quite often. Well, he's 1 second up so far.
Yeah, for sure. He designed this boat called the Tic Tac, and you can definitely see the athletes who design their boats paddle them quite well, and it's beneficial to them.
yeah, Joe's journey. Let's see if he can take him to the finals.
Not much time to lose, but people have lost a lot of time, so we'll see how it does.
Lost a bit of speed in that downstream gate up there.
Same time as Grimm, effectively.
Nicely through there and into the second last upstream.
Well, he's powerful, isn't he? He's powerful and he's fit, so providing he has no technical errors, he's going to put himself in a good position.
Yeah, I'm not sure I'll be too happy with those last two upstreams. We'll see what he can do in these last finish sprint. I think he's going to be out.
No, surprising.
Yeah, I think that was in the last four gates there. It's probably the most difficult section of the course. And
Is that just to keep the speed going?
I think so. It's gate 18 that you need to get down through and then over into the up, and keeping the speed and not hitting the rock and coming high into the up is difficult.
Maciej Ogliklag from Poland, another Olympic boat. Maybe surprised that the Polaceks aren't going this year, but he's
Provisionally, he won the Polish internal selections and has yet to be named the Olympic boat.
Okay.
So we're still waiting on that, and it'll be interesting to see how that goes. The federation has a lot of power concerning who goes to the Olympics, and so far he's earned that right, and hopefully it stays that way.
A little bit low on the up, but he is such a powerful paddler.
One of the highest stroke rates, I think. Pretty similar to your style as well, Michael.
Half second back at the top, but as we know, the bottom section is very important, so we'll see what he can do down here. A little bit low into that up left. Oh wow, that was risky.
Very risky, and I would be very surprised if that stays clean there. Video judge will have to look at that for sure.
As we mentioned before, the whole head and part of the boat has to be navigated through the gate for it to be called clean.
And there's the 50-second penalty added, and I'm sure he'll protest that, but does not seem likely to come off.
Yeah, well, with the video review, they should be able to look at it from a few angles and decide whether or not he navigated it cleanly.
well, there were 60 athletes down so far. That's the first 50 of the day, which is quite surprising.
Yeah, very true.
Well, his raw time is a bit over a second back, so pretty good run for him, other than the 50.
Next up for Austria, Matthias Vega.
Austrian selections so far have been some of the most interesting, I think. Coming down to the Ivrea World Cup, and Mario Leitner ended up ultimately being selected, and he's not here. He's at home getting ready for the games.
I believe he's going to Po though.
Yeah, I think so.
I feel like you hasn't finished school yet.
Yeah, he's just 20, I think, so very, very young. One of the youngest heading to the games for the men.
He's actually going to finish his schooling in, I believe, in October. Special dispensation.
You see Matthias just struggling a little bit at the top, picking up a 2-second penalty, and was a little bit offline there. See, maybe he'll risk a little bit more on these upstreams, and it's pretty nice.
Very costly with that second touch, and that should be enough to bump him out of it already.
Yeah, it's difficult if you take a touch in the top section of the course. You have to still complete the rest of it, but sometimes athletes can fire them up a little bit. Competed in that top section you have to be very close to the best split if you're going to be competitive.
Very nice direct, but it's not going to be enough to pull through.
That was a bit wild. Picking up another touch there. Goes into the second last upstream.
Well, he's not going to trouble the finalists, but did make the semi-finalists. So 40 top athletes from yesterday.
Yeah, still very impressive in this large field. K1 men, 88 athletes in the qualifiers, and less than half of them proceeded to the semi. So still a very good result.
Well, 15 now gone, and the man to beat is Darius Popiela, who we saw a couple of minutes ago. Ricardo Martins Dax from Brazil. And a good Brazil contingent. They had obviously a bit of stress last weekend.
Yeah, they've had their Olympic selections going on at these World Cups as well. But it's now over, and Ricardo won't be the Olympic boat, so it's too bad. At least now he's able to race and no pressure, and he can go out there and just see what he can do.
Well, that's a positive spin on something.
Yeah. Gotta think of the positives on that. Well, he's 3 seconds back, and they picked up a touch on the top section. Brazilians have really been benefiting, I think, from the Rio course being built, and will really benefit in the future as well, as there's going to be a number of races there. I think that's going to help their program a lot in years to come.
Will you be getting out there soon?
Yes, I'll actually be leaving 2 weeks from now, right after the World Cup in Po. I'll be home in Canada for a few days, and then off to Rio for 2 weeks.
Tough life.
Not too bad.
As you can see on the top of your screen with the graphics, if you want to follow what the athletes are thinking, check out @PlanetCanoe or hashtag ICF Slalom. Lots, I'd say over half of the athletes are posting regularly, letting you know what's going on, how they're thinking and how they're reacting. Well, it's not his day today. 93.9 from Darius Popiela is the time of reference. Next coming, Mathieu Biazizo from France, who took the course apart in Liptovsky last year.
Yeah, absolutely. Biazizo is one of the most talented paddlers in the world, I think, and strong. And I'd expect him to throw down a very good run here.
Because he won the Olympic trial event last year, but he didn't. Unfortunately for him, it's Sebastian Combo who actually made it through from the internal trials to go to the Olympics.
Yes, the Olympic test event, the French went 1 and 2, but they're only allowed to send 1, so that's the nature of the sport. And that too is another one of the athletes and also boat designers. He's paddling the Salto, which he designed, and many of the paddlers have taken up on the world circuit now, with K1 men and K1 women paddling them.
I'm sure it's a good feeling to design a boat and then have the Olympic champion switch to it.
Yeah, absolutely. Oh, very nice upstream there.
Well, we saw on the split he was in touch, 0.6 seconds back, crucially clean and full of energy.
Yeah, well, I really like those upstreams under the bridge. He kept a very tight line. I think that was pretty fast.
And a good support. You can hear them coming down. Several nations supporting him.
He tends to pull out time where you can't even see it, especially on the bottom of the course. It's just like Liptovsky, yeah.
So he's
we'll be
almost up
looking for
a full second.
Well, he's pulled 1.3 back in the last 5 gates.
Yeah, we'll see how he can do in this last upstream. Very controlled, very smooth. Just wanting to get through these last gates and sprint to the finish.
Well, it's going to be the first time. It's just a case of, is it going to be enough to go to the final? Easily the first time. 1.63.
There you go, Weller.
right on par with Popiela's run, just minus the little paddle bobble. And we know Darius is not happy about that.
Well, here's a flyer a couple of years ago. He won the overall World Cup standings, was it in 2012, 2013, was the Olympic boat that went to London. Had a couple of dodgy years though recently.
Yeah,
Etienne died from France, so.
I think 2012 was Etienne's year at the World Cups. He seemed like he was winning them all every single weekend. He was off the French team for a couple of years, and now he's able to make it back on. It's one of the most difficult national teams to make.
Oops, not an ideal start.
Yeah, he's picked up a touch early on, but I think he's got enough of the run that he can play with it. Maybe he'll risk a little more and try and pull out something really special.
If you did designing an ideal kayak paddler, he has his mother's Czech and father's French. So if you get those two bloodlines, you can do something right, aren't you? Well, 2 seconds back. That's with the penalty. It's still in touch.
Yeah. We'll see if he's risking a little bit more now that he knows he has one touch. And I'd expect him to kind of try and make up some time at the bottom of the course. That was very nice sweeping around that pole. Looks like he's fallen a bit back from his countryman, Biazizo. Just a bit low and tied
taken
up.
out another one. He's not going to make the final.
Not with that. I think there might be one lucky athlete who can make the final with a touch, but I don't think it's going to be the commonality at all.
Yeah, the raw speed you have to have would be.
Samuel Hernans maybe can take a 2 second.
Yeah, there's probably not very many who can make the final with a touch, but we'll have to see.
Well, 18 athletes gone, and it is Matthew Biazizo who's 92.27. Mikhail Pastrit from Poland next to go.
Haven't seen this paddler on the circuit in my experiences yet, but being on the Polish team, you can be assured he's fast.
Yeah, I attended the Polish Nationals a couple years ago, and the K1 men field was absolutely stacked there, and they've got a lot of good up-and-coming young paddlers. And it helps that my coach is Polish, Michał Staniszewski, and he was able to, we were able to go to the Nationals there and see the course in Krakow.
My coach as well is Rafa Smolin, who was a teammate of Michael's coach. So we have fairly similar experiences in our training.
Okay, so you have a pass everywhere you want to go. Well, he was slightly off on the touch and 2 second penalties here. So when you discover an athlete you haven't seen before, what are you looking out for?
It really depends. We kind of can see their style. He's definitely, I would say, a typical Polish paddler, very powerful, and but able to also pull off some crazy upstreams, and we'll see what he can do in these final two ups. That's nice, coming in above the gate and sweeping on both of those upstreams. It's a high-risk move for there, and that was those upstreams aren't easy.
He needs to re-accelerate the boat.
Yeah, I think that touch is going to put him out as well.
Even without the touch, it was he lost a lot of time on the bottom. I think he just went a little too tight and couldn't keep his speed up.
No. Matthew Davy from Belgium. Again, I believe he spends most of his time in pole.
Yeah, another paddler with French connections, and whenever any athlete that's from around this part of the world is going to know this course very well. I expect him to kind of feel at home here. Very close to the French border, and these French and Spanish athletes probably have the most experience here. We haven't seen anybody opt for the spin, I think, since Grimm.
Yeah, which is very surprising. I'll be interested to see if the other Germans have a similar plan, which I would expect, and maybe some of the other paddlers adapt to that.
Oh, and he's fallen a bit low in that upstream. Usually the athletes will review the video after the semifinal if they progress to finals with their coach, and they'll look for things that other athletes did that might have worked out well. So maybe we'll see how the spin worked for Grimm. Fighting across into that up. Very nice sweep up there. It's going to be a bit out of the lead, and about 5.5 seconds.
halfway through the field and still holding up times from the very beginning.
That's smart.
Very tight. And he hits that rock again. We've seen a couple of athletes hit that rock, and some were able to manage it and still come high into the up, but others were pushed low to the bottom of the eddy.
Again, another one not going to trouble the finalists, unfortunately. Mathieu Biazizé from France is still in the lead. This is the first for the ICF commentary because we're actually going out on Facebook as well today.
Oh, wow.
It's a YouTube channel, Planet Canoe, but also on Facebook. So let's say technically it works, but it's good to reach a bigger public. It's Janos Petelin from Slovenia who's going to go.
Very experienced paddler, been on the circuit for a long time, and just another one of the great Slovenian K1s.
Yeah, Janos actually trains primarily in Pau, France, so I'd expect he's also had a lot of time on this course. We'll see what he can do with that knowledge.
It looks like the Slovenians and the Brazilians are having a sticker competition. I'm not sure quite who's winning.
You can have them most on their bid. Well, there's no restriction. I think any publicity is good for the sport. Raise the level. But he's in touch. Only 2 seconds back.
Yeah, Zizo had a very fast top split, so if you're anywhere close and a clean top half, you're still in it and you can make something happen on the bottom. Yeah, very smooth run so far, pretty controlled. Nothing too spectacular, but sometimes that's the way you want it to be.
So far, no mistakes, no problems. Is he fast enough?
Yeah.
I think he's just missing the raw speed some of the younger athletes have at this point.
Yeah, you see some of the younger athletes just doing some incredible, crazy things and doing ups that you didn't think were possible. But
That's good, though, isn't it? Pushing the new generation coming on.
yeah, absolutely. I think we have a lot of young guys in this semi-final, and
Well, it's a Polacek. I think it's 4 brothers, and Matthias, does the best normally in the Olympics and the Worlds. Apparently, they make the boats, and the whole village is built around the name.
yeah, well, we've seen quite a few athletes paddling Polacek boats in the last few years, ones that aren't Polacek, so I think it attests to the quality, and I think they know what they're doing in those boats.
A medalist at the World Championships last year, so he's no stranger to success so far.
Wow, absolutely caning that up. That was beautiful. Yeah,
Right, Shays, isn't it? Half second off.
yeah, he's one of the strongest paddlers, also most technically proficient, as you can see there. He went in above the gate and above on both upstreams and sweeping his body and boat around them.
That's a very difficult gate to judge.
And if he can hold on, I think he's going to be in touch to push for the lead.
Right, looking just a second down, but Bizizi was fast. The familiar whistling from the compatriots saying, come on, move it. This is going to be very close to see who goes into provisional first place in the semi-final.
Absolutely, I think he's going to be very close and in that probably top 3 positions, as those last 2 ups were very fast.
Well, this is all the training comes into hand. It looks like he's going to be very close. Moves into second place. Yeah, he knows he's done a good run.
At this point, there's still 18 athletes left, and it's going to be tricky to make the finals.
Yeah, with 40 athletes competing in the semis and just 10 going through.
Isaac Ostam from Sweden, first Swedish competitor of the day, I believe.
Isaac's another paddler that he trains a lot in Pau, France. I've seen him there and some other Swedish paddlers. They're program is growing.
Talking to one of the Swedish athletes, they haven't been home since December. They've been out abroad training all to get ready for this Olympic season.
Wow. It's a lifestyle, isn't it, really?
Yeah, for sure.
And you'll see in the Olympic years, obviously, every athlete in every nation is pushing hard to go to the games, and I think it brings up the quality of the competition at the World Cups. Isaac's looking pretty good so far. Caught up a little bit in that stopper there, but he sweeps the boat around and is able to maintain the speed. We'll see how close he can get to Biazzizo's second split, and almost going into that rock there, and I think he lost more than a few seconds.
Well, he's not going to trouble the leaders. So we've had 22 athletes gone so far, and Matthew Biazzizo is leading from Matthias Polacek in second, with Darius Popiela third, and Alexander Grimm, Peter Kauser. So big names there. It's going to be a cracking final if they stay like that.
Yeah, absolutely. Making the final is one thing, and then you have to do it all again and compete for a medal. And Isaac's disappointed with that run. It was a clean run, but too many time losses to compete for the final.
Next up, another very promising Brit. It's Bradley Forbes Cryans, another Scottish paddler, which most of them are.
Yeah, Bradley made the team for the first time last year and has kind of burst onto the scene, making the finals last weekend in Ivrea, and he'll be one to watch. See how his top split compares.
No, he's a bit off, isn't he?
Still within a second, so I think he's still very much in the game here. Coming in above and then sweep, that was awesome. Oh, just caught up a little bit there.
Yeah, we've seen a lot of athletes struggle with that eddy line and the stopper under the bridge.
Yeah, and the risk of going for a big sweep up on the first gate means you might not be in the perfect position for the second. So it's a bit of balance to be able to manage both of them.
And lost 2 seconds there.
Yeah, he's fallen off the pace a little bit, but see what he can do in these last two ups.
Chasing a very, very fast run right now, so it's a little misleading.
Yeah, and he went for a punt there where he pushed off the wall.
Throwing the boat in.
Yeah, and I think if executed perfectly, it could be very fast, and it was
Well, he really
close.
needs to make the boat move again. It's just going to be outside the top 7 or 8. Yeah, unfortunately gets to 11. Knows he's left something out there.
Another Frenchman, Benjamin Regna. Another extremely talented paddler.
Won the qualifications last week in Ivrea and kind of blew out in the semis, so he'll be looking to improve that. The French athletes are very fast in Po where they train, but because the competition's so strong, they don't get a whole lot of World Cup competition. So you'll see he's kind of a newbie in that sense.
Yeah, hasn't raced maybe as many World Cups as some of the other athletes, but he's still, if you've raced in the French scene, then you know what you're doing. And he's having a very smooth run so far. Pretty low risk, but we'll see if he can push his countryman Biazzizo to the finish. And he's well back, 3 seconds on that second split.
It's not going to be today. Etienne Dye also, we saw coming for France a few minutes ago, is down in 16th position, so he's not going to trouble the scores as well. So far, Matthew Biazizo from Mateusz Polacek, Darius Popiela, Alexander Grimm, Peter Krause, and no one's qualified yet, but some of them are looking in a good position.
Romania had a very nice bottom section, actually. Very smooth controls and fast, but I don't think it'll be enough.
It's not going to be far away. Well, 10th.
Yeah, he maybe lost a little bit in the middle section of the course, but I think his top and bottom sections were on pace. But to make the final, the whole run has to be pretty stellar.
Sebastian Schubert, who has some extraordinary runs in the ice canal, as one of the top paddlers in the world for the last 3 or 4 years. I wonder if he's digested not going to the Olympics.
Well, the Olympic Games are so incredibly tough to make when there's only one per nation, especially nations such as Germany. So he won't be going to the Olympics, and maybe that'll fire him up this race and he can do something special. Very tight exit there, and it was almost too much so that he had to turn the boat back around in the direction that he wanted. He's just a second back.
A testament to how fast Biazizo's run was, and
and coming in above that upstream, and
that's just cost him the final.
Yeah, he's going to have to go around and repeat the gate properly. He risked a little bit too much and came in above it.
But in such a tight race as it's been so far, you have to take those chances. Sometimes they pay off, and sometimes they don't.
Yeah, absolutely. Conservative run might get you a 20th place, but that's not what any of these guys want here.
No one remembers a 20th place finish.
But he knows it now.
Yeah, for sure.
Well, he opts for the punt move there, and I think that's actually quite fast, and interested to see which other athletes go for it. Pushing off the wall there.
No, not today.
Yeah.
But it's expensive. It's very expensive. It's fast apart from the 3 or 4 seconds he lost.
Yeah, wow, that's honestly a pretty incredible run other than that one upstream. And yeah, I think he's a little bit disappointed there.
Yeah, for sure. Coming from, he was one of the top athletes in the World Cup the past couple of years, so it's a very disappointing finish.
One of the senior executives now, it's Hugh Sutton from the Great Britain, who's been in and out of the team for the last many years.
Yeah, Hugh had a fantastic Olympic trials and pushed Joe Klug right to the very last run, and he's back on the team and showing good form in these World Cups so far.
35 years old. Might be the senior athlete here.
Yeah, I think Woz from Australia might have him beat, but he's definitely an experienced paddler, and we will see if that can show in the semi-final.
Used to belong to David Ford.
Yeah, it did. He had, I think, everybody but Stepanka beat, maybe.
Well, still in touch there.
Yeah, he's
throwing the bet forward.
Yeah, we've yet to see anyone be behind on the top split really gain up that much time on the bottom.
Oh, and he struggled a little bit with the cross there, the boat wobbling in that turbulent water. He speeds up again into this next section.
Something I'm curious to see if anyone opts to take Ender Losegi's line through 15 right over the rock pile.
Oh, I didn't see him do that.
He went pretty much as far right as he could, straight over the rocks, and it was quite fast. Barring the fact you might break your boat in half.
He needs to buy a new boat now.
Yeah.
Well, that might be one of the locals' advantages, where he knows the river so well, he knows what he can get away with.
Well,
this is a pretty impressive run for Hugh, but yeah, I don't think not enough.
Yeah, 12.
Yeah. So I think those upstreams by the bridge and the staggers lower down cost him a lot.
Olympic medalist Hannes Egner from Germany, who's going to try and repeat his quest in Rio.
Yes, the silver medalist from London, and he won the German Olympic qualifiers again this year. Just so impressive given that field of Grimm, a former Olympic gold medalist, and Schubert, a World Cup overall winner.
It's all about pulling it out on the day, though, isn't it, really?
Yeah, absolutely. Having a good top section so far. He went direct at that gate 3, which we'll see. I think Grimm was still the only one to spin it.
It doesn't look like we're going to see that again. Quite interesting. We'll have to talk to him about why exactly he decided to do that.
Very smooth and controlled here, and held up a little bit at the cross. He was able to maintain the speed on the exit. I think he's going to be a little bit back on this second split. So almost 3 seconds.
Definitely not what he's wanting, and we still have 3 athletes before anyone begins to qualify.
Alexander Grimm has put himself in a good position, however. Currently in 4th position, with Matthew Beers, as we see on our screen, still leading it out from Matthias Polacek and Darius Popiela.
As we said before, it seems they're reviewing Mateusz's Polacek's the up left under the bridge. There's a star next to his name, and the video judge, I would assume, is reviewing the up gate 12.
Well, Hensang provisionally moves into 6th place.
Yeah, and it's still quite a few athletes to come. We're not going to see anyone qualifying for the finals for a few more boats.
Yuri Meglic from Azerbaijan officially.
Yeah, Meglic, a paddler from Slovenia, is now racing for Azerbaijan. Looking smooth so far, but as we know, the top section, everyone is usually in touch. And less than a second off Biazizo, so that was a pretty good top section, and we'll still be able to maybe push for the lead.
Hung up on the eddy line, as we've seen with a couple other athletes, and he was low as well, so he's going to have to push a bit on the bottom to make that back up.
Yeah, I think that was enough to slow him down. That cross is so difficult from the upstream on the left to the right under the bridge. The water is always changing and kind of swirling, and you need a lot of speed to get across it.
And say it's almost 5 seconds down, which is not going to work in his favour.
Yeah, and he went for the punt there, but also touched the pole, so don't think he's going to be in the finals today.
No, not today, not troubling it. We'll say 11 more athletes to go, and it is the Czech Luboš Hilga, of course the son of Hilga Tova, who's been to 5 Olympics, but not this one.
Yeah, no, they're a paddling family, and Luboš has had some really strong results. The Czech team is so competitive, so not always able to be on the start lines at a World Championship or a European, but he's here today, looking to show that he can compete with everyone in the world. A little bit stalled out in that upstream, but we'll see how his first split is. Just 0.2 of a second back, so he's very much still in it for the lead and for the finals.
We would expect this almost, wouldn't we? The top 12 athletes from the heats, they clearly know how to do something correctly.
Yeah, it's been a while that we haven't had anyone really challenging the lead so far, and he's definitely on pace to do that.
Yeah, I'd expect the next 11 boats too, every single one of them to challenge for the lead, because they were the fastest in the qualifiers, and they proved that they could do that yesterday, and be looking to prove that they can do it today.
Right, still very much in touch with just 0.4 down and looking effective now.
Yeah, we'll see how these last few upstreams go, and he goes for the punt. I think that was really fast, and yeah, I think he could be pushing for this lead here, and definitely the finals.
Well, time to, I think he's going to make it through.
Yeah, I think so.
Absolutely
He goes into the lead.
delighted.
You could hear the Czech team cheering him on at the finish.
Over a second gain on those last two ups, so it's crucial to have a good line through there.
Yeah. Yeah, he went for the push off the wall, and I think that was definitely one of the reasons he went into the lead.
So Pavel Igel from Russia next to go.
Very strong paddler. He might look a little bit different the way he paddles on the water. I think he's actually, the Russians use left twist paddles, so their forward stroke looks a little bit different to the normal right twist.
And what's the history behind that?
I'm actually not sure, but I know there are some paddling clubs in the world that they always use left twist, and the entire club is that way because all of the paddles for the club were that way.
Okay.
Makes it difficult to borrow equipment, but other than that, it's no difference.
300th up on the top.
Yeah, he's a very fast top section.
Very surprising. He hasn't had many standout results in the last couple of years, but coming out very strong so far.
Yeah, and he struggled a little bit with that upright coming in low, and you could see him fighting against the water, pulling on the right blade a few times. A bit too much of a duck there. I think he lost a little bit of boat speed, but he's still only 2 seconds back from Hilgert. See what he can do in these last two ups.
Recently, they have added that 50-second penalty to Polacek's time, so he's dropped down from second place into the high 20s.
And once that's finished, it's final. He's out.
I think video judge decisions are final.
So Igel is 4 seconds back from the lead, and
Not particularly happy. He doesn't like his paddle.
no.
Might be switching to a right twist.
Hilgert is still leading from Biazazo, Popiele, Grimm, Kauser, Egner, Bersinger, Delfor. At the moment, they're in possession of the final berths, but there's still 9 athletes to go.
Yeah, so we'll start to see athletes qualifying for the final after Martin Halchin goes down, but he's a very, very strong athlete from Slovakia.
Another amazing Olympic selection between him and the young Slovak Jakub Grigar, who we'll see last to go.
And Grigar got the spot.
Yeah.
Pretty incredible, but we'll see what Halchin can do here on this top split. Just back by a second.
As we saw, there's still a bit of time you can make up in those last ups, so still in touch.
Yeah, he's battling across that water and goes a little bit deep into the up. Not sure if that was the fastest line, but he had a good speed on the exit. It was actually very nice. He kept the boat running through these offsets.
He's lost a bit more time, and it'll be tough to pull that out.
Yeah, he's looking smooth. Yeah, he's taking a controlled approach, going through the center of the gates.
Which will put you in 20th place.
Yeah, very, very little risk.
No, he's looking close, they look.
Yeah, that finish sprint is deceivingly long. You think you're there, and then you've got another 3 meters.
Well, provisionally he's down. Andre Tunker next to go. And we do have Lou Bosch, Hilger and Matthew Biazize have qualified for the final.
Yeah, well, Tunka's another these phenomenal Czech paddlers. He trains under coach Yuri Priskovec and with the world champion Yuri Priskovic Jr., who's not here, opting to prepare for the Rio Olympics.
Which you can understand.
Yeah.
Yes.
After a long and hard Rio training camp, he needs a little break at home.
Yeah. The two are quite close friends off the water, and expect Tunka to do some incredible things. He likes to risk it, and he's one of the paddlers that he'll either make the final or make a medal, or he'll go home having risked everything.
Notably, also one of the most interesting boat designs to see.
Yeah, he's a unique style on and off the water.
So what's special about the bit?
I think he has an image of a woman there, but I won't go into any more details while we're live. Oh, and he just caught up a little bit on that gate. Well, he's only 1.2 seconds back from the leader, so very much in a good position to make the final, and goes for that punt maneuver again, like we've seen a few athletes do, try and push off the wall and maintain their speed through the whole upstream.
See where he goes again. Another good time.
Very good.
Moves into third place and qualifies for the final. So good work there.
Well, it looks like we've got two Czechs qualified for the final, as well as the Frenchman Mathieu Biazizo.
I'm sure Popiella is at this point is starting to get a little nervous with that little paddle bobble he had. Still waiting to qualify on the bubble.
Lone from Portugal.
Another French satellite athlete. Actually tied on the qualifying run with the next paddler, Felix Auschmitz from Austria.
He's a pretty big guy like Grim, and you can maybe he'll be able to use that to his advantage and overpower the water in some areas.
Grim at the moment. Would hope to qualify. He's in 5th place. Daniel Popiello is in 4th. Then Peter Kauser and Hannes Egner will be sweating a little bit for the next few minutes.
Well, Antoine is up on this first split, so he's having quite a good run. And he comes in above the gate, and that's it.
Similar to Eigner, I believe. Same problem, and didn't work out for either of them.
Yeah, and like we've said numerous times, you have to risk it in these semifinals in the men's kayak class, or you won't be in the final. So he was doing that until it kind of backfired on him.
Picked up a touch there, but it's not going to affect the run overall.
So we're going to have another athlete. Yeah, so from Poland this time it's Dariusz Popiela who's going through the final. Not official yet. Will be.
Yeah, with 2 touches, doesn't look like he's going to be in position at all. 3.
No, down 32nd place. So 6 athletes left to go. Next up
Felix Auschmitz from Austria. He's just 16 years old, and he was pushing his buddy Mario Leitner for the Olympic spot. Leitner ended up winning last weekend in Ivrea, but Felix is definitely one to watch, and he's got phenomenal speed for such a young age.
Made the final at the Europeans as well as the ranking race in Ivrea a couple months ago. So very strong paddler, kind of came out of nowhere. He's so young. He'll turn 17 a month from now. But definitely a paddler to watch out for the future, and especially at Junior Worlds in the upcoming weeks.
So he's going to be one of your direct concurrents.
For sure, yeah. I'll hopefully be chasing him in the kayak in Krakow. Fairly questionable up there.
Yeah, we'll see what the judges say on that, but I couldn't really tell in the video feed if he got his whole head around it.
Seems to luckily have quite a long neck.
He does. He's a very large athlete for how young he is.
Yeah, he's a quite strong athlete, and he's only 16 years old. He's picked up a touch there, and another one. So risked a lot and is paddling very tight lines, and that's sometimes what can happen. Oh, well, that was a very nice up, but it's not going to be enough.
As you say, make the semi-final at 16 is promising for the future.
Certainly.
Yeah, absolutely. You can't be disappointed with that. It's tough to perform in the semi, but to even be there and get another run today on this course is pretty good for a 16-year-old.
Next to go from Spain is Juan Crespo, who serves all his best performances always come here.
Yeah, Crespo knows this course so well. I've seen him training and racing here and doing things that nobody else can do on this course. Be looking forward to see what he can do.
Doesn't often transfer the skills to other courses, but saves the best for him.
Yeah,
Fortunately, we tend to have a race here almost every year, and in a couple of years, the Olympic qualifier will be here in 2019 for the Tokyo Games. So it'll be very beneficial to the Spanish team.
yeah, the Spanish men's kayak don't have an Olympic boat this year in Rio, which was a big surprise to many of them. So Juan Crespo and Samuel Hernandez will be looking to paddle well here in front of in their hometown.
Interesting to see most of the locals are not cutting the up left. They're coming down and doing a nice draw up compared to the other athletes who are trying to back sweep, and it's just not working out a lot of the time.
Yeah, I think they realize how important that exit is there under the bridge and getting into the next upstream with speed. He's picked up a touch and he's 4 seconds back, so see what he can do in these last few gates, but I'm not sure he's going to be in the final.
Well, the crowd are encouraging him to go, but not today, unfortunately.
Yeah, they're cheering him on here at the bottom in the sprint, but not enough.
4 athletes to go, and they're all absolute flyers. It's going to be a lot of fun to see those. And so far qualified is Hilger Bierzazo, Tanka Popiele Grimm, and Peter Cowes has made it through.
Yeah, well, next up we have Jackson Merritt from Australia. He was so close to going to the Olympics in the selections this year. Jackson's not going to the Olympics this year, but he plans to race these 2 World Cups and then take a bit of a holiday in Europe, I'm told. So I think he's going to have a fun summer. And he's looking good so far.
Well, he's in there, isn't he? He's in there.
Yeah,
0.04 up, maybe.
he's 400ths of a second up, so he's in touch with Hilgert for the lead. Oh, and coming in above that up, right?
So interesting. The same exact top split as Antoine Lunet of Portugal, and did the same thing in that up. Great paddler Fabien Lefebvre says you can't be greedy, and it seems that a lot of these guys are going fast and then just taking it a little too far in that up.
What's the latest news on Fabien?
He's training in the U.S. and I think he plans to race next year and race at his home course of Po at the Worlds.
Still keeping the United States nationality, still going for it.
Yeah, for sure. He's committed at this point. His family's all set in, and I think they're very happy there.
Well, Jackson Merritt for the Australia, it's not his day, an early touch, and it's unfortunately
Series of unfortunate events there, and he won't be in this final.
But it does open the door for another Olympian, Hannes Egner. So it's really quality field now. Just
Yeah, Hennis is just qualified for the final.
Vit Prindis next to go, who's
3 boats to
absolute
go.
flyer.
Yeah, Vit is another one of these Czech guys that is so talented. And I believe he just missed out on the finals, the Europeans. With 3 touches, he was still fast enough to almost make it. So just shows you the kind of speed he has. A little bit low into that first upstream. It's a bit concerning given the easier nature of the top section. So he's going to have to work hard to make some time up.
Another one of the athletes, I believe, who had a pretty bad shoulder injury a couple years ago.
That's right.
He's also managed to come back and
pretty unbelievable. He's just 1800ths back, even with a bit of a low upstream, and see what he can do here.
Opting the local line, it seems much safer and seems to work out a lot better.
Yeah, it was a little bit risky there, but he went for a draw on the first upstream, and I think that's maybe a safer route to go and try and maybe sweep the second of the two.
Nothing's appeared yet.
Still on pace to make the final in a good spot.
Yeah. Oh, another close line ducking around
The
that
judges
gate.
are going to be busy for the next couple of minutes.
Definitely not making it easy on the video judge, which unfortunately can lead to a pretty bad outcome for
Well,
yourself.
I think that was a fantastic bottom section, and he's going to push for the lead.
For sure.
But certainly electrifying speed, just a case of can he keep the penalties off.
Moves into second place.
Well done. And Jakub Grigar next to go. So now we do know 9 of the athletes going through, and Thomas Bozinger has also, has he booked his place yet?
We have 2 left.
2 left, sorry.
Samuel Hernandez, of course, is next
I
on the
missed
course.
him out, yes, of course, that's right. Don't want to miss out Samuel Hernandez, do we?
Yeah, Samuel knows this course well. Expect him to produce a smart, fast run.
I'm sure at this point he knows his compatriot Juan Crespo did not perform well, and there might be a little extra pressure on him.
So far, no problems into gate 5. As you know, the most difficult part is yet to come. And he is a full second behind Hilgard on that top split. But I think his experience will pay off here at the bottom. He knows to come in smoothly into that upstream and then maybe risk it a little bit more on this up.
Well, you have you have 3 seconds to play with, and you can still qualify.
I think his experience plays to the fact he can take some wider lines and still get into the final comfortably.
Well, he's picked up a touch and was 1 second back on the top split.
There's going to be no spareness at all.
Well, as Matt said, it was I think 3 seconds back from leader, and
That's not good.
oh, that was that I think was a 50-second penalty. So I don't think Hernandez will be competing in the final today.
Yeah, 50 going on. But that wasn't even close, was it?
No, I don't think any boat, and maybe he got a quarter of his head.
Yeah, and he knows. See, it's a tough one for Samuel Hernandez.
Last year, of course, in the semifinal of the London race, his paddle snapped in half, and which ultimately led to the Spanish not making the Olympic Cup. So another disappointment this year.
The last to go, Jakub Grigar.
Yeah, he's a fantastic young talent coming out of Slovakia. I remember seeing him race as a junior, and yeah, he was racing against the K1 men. You know, when he was a junior, and he's now made the Olympics. I'm not sure how old he is, but
He's just 19 this year.
just 19.
Last year was his last year in the junior category, and he won the Worlds by 3 seconds.
Yeah,
So you're quite happy to get rid of him.
Yeah, for sure. But he's what everyone strives to be, and everyone watches him.
Yeah, so we're taking nice lines, quite smooth, and no risks so far, but he's just a third of a second back. And there we go, he took a very nice line into that upstream. Got bobbled a little bit by the water in the cross. I think he's going to have to make up a little bit of time at the bottom, but we'll see on this second split.
So So we know it's going to be a Slovak in the final. We just don't know which one at the moment. Martin Halsen sitting on 10th place.
Halsen sitting in 10th. See what Grigar can do here. Oh. Kept the boat running through that second last upstream, and
he looks in total control, isn't he?
Yeah. We'll see. Will it be Grigar or will it be Halchen?
Well, it's certainly going to be Grigar. Moves into fourth place. And is a happy
Great
champion.
Performance.
So a teenager in the final.
I'm not sure I've ever seen him upset regardless of his performance. He's such a great personality to be around, always positive.
Yeah, I think that's a great mentality to have.
Let's just see who's qualified. We have Vit Prindus with a potential problem in second, but Hilga Bierzazo, Grigar, Tunke Popiele, Grim, Kauser, Egner, Bersinger, all Europeans at the moment. 50 yards. Prindus.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see what the video judges come up with, and Halchen will be eagerly awaiting that, as well as Vit.
And as we look towards finals, it'll be interesting to see if Grim sticks with the spin that he did so well, or if he'll adapt the style that everyone else did.
Yeah, or if any other paddlers opt for the spin.
I'm sure all the athletes are in the video room comparing the two.
Yeah, and I mean, we don't have any splits in front of us. It might be slower, and they might all be going direct, so we'll have to wait for the final to see.
So we'll be back in a few minutes with you live from Lesotho Gale for the finals, and it's C1 men, C1 women and K1 men. Thank you for joining us so far, and we're going to have a lot of fun in the next couple of hours here. Thank you.